What do you think? Will be off? Huh? Yeah?
Anytime? Anytime. Good day. Today is March 3rd, 1986. And today is coming out the box saga telling of Wainamoinen mythology.
This saga we have to thank for two women. One Rakel Bokström and one Rea Bokström. Rakel was born 1888 and Rea was born 1899. They got this story from their father, Knut Wiestur, and his sister his sister Christina Wisturia, and they got their education about this saga in 20 years' time, from 1919 till 1939. Rakel died on 17th of February 1976, and Rea, the last woman from the Bok family, died 1984, the 6th of April, after which it became possible to talk about this saga. The meaning of this will come through in the course of the story. These people were heathen people, and this saga is about heathen time. And that is the time before we get the religions we know about, the Christian religion, the Muslim religion, and the Jewish religion. The heathen people didn't believe in gods, they believed in powers, and they had 8 powers. The first power is Hel, the second Bok, the third E, the fourth Uden, the fifth Ra, the 6th Tur, the 7th Frey, and the 8th Freya. And I will first explain the meaning of these 8 powers. The first power is Hel, and Hel is the North Pole before the Ice Age. Hel has as a symbol a swastika, and the swastika means the life wheel. The word swastika, or the sound swastika, comes from swavelstika, which means saltpeter and stick, saltpeter stick. This we get through because the heathen people used a midsummer stone, a midsummer tree, and under the crown of the midsummer tree, they took off the crown of the tree and put one iron ring with 4 spokes coming out with equal distance. And on these spokes they hung boats. And these boats turned around in the winds and make the life wheel go round and round and round. But now they could also put saltpeter in these boats and light them, so we got nice firework, what makes this swastika to go around with horrible speed, and they could dance around their midsummer pole. This is the swastika, the symbol of Hel. The second power is Bok, and Bok has as a symbol a straw bok. And straw we get through the strålar coming from the sun, the rays coming from the sun onto the grass, and this makes the grass to turn into straw. And from this straw we make a straw bok, which we put under the Christmas tree on the 24th of December. Bok is one family who was the first family on this planet, and this Bok, the male Bok, he represents the sun on the earth. The third power is E, and E is the prick of the Bok. And the E is symbolized by a trisul. And trisul is a combination sound of tree and sul. Tree meaning one tree, and sul meaning the sun. So the trisul is the symbol for the sun tree, to whom Bok is belonging. He is belonging to the sun tree, and the sun tree is one ash tree, asktreden. The fourth power of the Eden is Uden, and Uden is one ring. Uden is everything, and Uden is the sun, because the Eden people believe that when the sun stops shining in the universe, there is no more life. Everything is black and dark and no life. So Uden was a very big power for the Eden people. He represented the life in this universe. Uden is symbolized by one snake who bites himself in his tail. One ring, which the Eden people wear in the left ear. The fifth power of the Eden people is Ra. And Ra is the first son of Bok. And Ra is making the Ras, the race of human being on this planet. Ra has two symbols, two main symbols. The roos, which is a rose, and the horseshoe. Ra, the first son of Bok, Bok representing the sun on the earth. Ra, he represents the moon. He represents the moon on the earth. The sixth power is Tur. And Tur means the heart, and Tur means also the heart friend. And Tur also means Tur's hammare, Tur's hammer. And Tur's hammer is the symbol for Tur, which consists on the masculine side of one Tur's hammer, consists of three parts. The sharp side of the hammer is called egget af hammeren, the egg of the hammer. The middle part is called kolf, from where the shaft is coming out. And the third part of the hammer is the hoevoet af hammeren, the head of the hammer. And this same hammer every man finds in his trousers, because we have egg, kolf and head. So Tur's hammer is the prick of man. Under the head of this prick is nekken. And we have nekken under the head over here, but we have also neck under the head of the prick. And over the neck is one roos, one rose. So the top of the head, the top of the prick is also called neck roos. In English language called lotus, from where sperm is coming out. The seventh power of the Eden is Frey. And Frey is the first human being on the planet. And Frey is the first masculine human being on the planet. And he has as a symbol moon shara, moon sickle. Moon sickle is a fertility symbol, also symbolizing again this prick. This is quite much of a prick story, so I'll be throwing them around left and right. The eighth power of the Eden is Freya. And Freya is the first feminine human being on the planet, and she has as a symbol a lyra, a harp. So we have the eight powers: Hel, Bok, I, Uden, Ra, Tur, Frey and Freya. The eighth power of the Eden people. The Eden people had one story about the origin of this planet. And they explained it on the 1st of January, when the new year started, to their children in the following way. That they told to their children that this bowl, where we are living on, was before like one egg floating in the universe. The egg yellow was glowing magma, around the egg yellow was water. This was floating around in the universe, and this egg yellow, this glowing magma, was exploding all the time, coming through to this water, exactly like the sun is doing every day, shining above us. And one good day, this egg yellow exploded. This egg yellow exploded, which made that the distance of this before concentrated mass of magma was spreading outwards, which made that there came less heat in density in the center of this bowl, and land came out from the water. The continents came out from the water. So this bowl became much bigger. The center bowl was before very small, covered completely with water, but now in this explosion this bowl came outwards, so all this water was filling in between these lands coming out, between these continents coming out. And today you can easily reconstruct that happening by cutting out all the continents on this planet, and you can squeeze them nicely together, America, Europe and Africa, and the other way around, in Australia, and then you get one small bowl, where we will have so much water on this planet that everything will be water again. The Eden people explained it in the following way to their children. They used the symbol of Ra, the horseshoe, made from tin. They made one horseshoe from tin and heated it until it became fluid, and then they threw it in a holder of water. And in that happening, it exploded out of all kinds of points, which are like bombs. And then they made one ring on the wall, ring from wood, and they put one candle, one light. And then they moved this tin bowl, taken out of the water after it cooled off, and moved it between the light and this ring. And then you could see out from this ring, on the shadows, you could see the continents coming out from this ring. That way they explained to the children how it all happened, okay, it existed. Then we get three periods. We get first life developing in the ocean, which moved into the second period onto the land. We get plants on the land, and also we get animals coming out from the water to start to move onto the land and create their life between the vegetation of this planet. According to the story, we get to from one cellular living things in the ocean, we develop through different systems of eels, and then we come to an animal what we call Garuda, from which we have left here in the east still today Garuda, and Garuda means one frog. And when the frog makes further evolutions on this planet, one day it becomes to be one monkey. I will start to explain a couple of sounds, because this whole story is based on sounds, so you have to completely eliminate all black letter on white paper from your brain. All goes in sound. We have one sound called B, and the sound B means one ring, and we know that Uden is one ring, so B is also Uden. And P still today is used in mathematics, which according to what is left in Greece, where we use still today pi, you can count the circumference of one circle. So the sound P means one ring. And we have another sound called L. And L means lag, or law, logic, not all meanings of L. So Pil means the law of the ring. Then we have another sound, boo, and boo means one nest, one home, like one bird is creating one boo to lay its eggs in. And we have another sound called gay, and gay means you give. And then we get, if we put all these sounds together, we come to one construction called pil boo gay, which means bow and arrow in English. But pilbuge, when you divide in sounds, yeah, you get P, L, boo and gay, where you get the meaning backwards. You give a nest through the law of Uden. You create a home through the law of Uden. You create people through the law of Uden. So pilbuge means one bow and arrow means one fertility symbol, not one war symbol. Then we have two more sounds. We have one sound, peel E, and E we have from Helbok E, the first three power of the E. E was the brick of the bok. So peel E is the brick of man. In this particular case, the brick of the bok, peel E. And woman, they have peel U. And U comes from Uden, and Uden is one ring. So we have masculine peel E and feminine peel U. And when you put E in U, you get new children on the planet. Yeah? We have another sound called Apa. And Apa is one monkey, one ape. And Apa in sound means asanas, hulen asana. I will explain later on what is asar and all this kind of happenings. Stick to Apa. Apa is asanas, hul asanas. Now the pole of Asar was the pole from North Pole to South Pole. And North Pole was hell before the Ice Age. Yeah? We have three other sounds. We have one called Nanni Vuohi in Finnish, in Van language. We have Pili Vuohi and we have Skidi Vuohi. In English we have billy goats, nanny goats and kitty goats. Billyjeet, woordjeet and kittyjeet. Chilling. Now we are coming to one happening where I will try to put all these sounds together, because according to this Eden saga, one good day when this whole evolution on this planet has been more or less moving to the stage as we have it today, one Apa on the North Pole, he had one pili called Ask. And Ask is like estuary also. One Ask traded is one estuary. Apa, he had one pili called Ask. And under his Ask, he had egg. And in his egg, he had embla. And this Apa, he met one nanny goat. Nanny is also like, we have here nannied, women have nannied, yeah, where the children drink from. And we have also in English, one nanny is one woman who you give your children to when you don't have enough milk, yeah, you bring her to one nanny. So this Apa with this pili called Ask, who have this egg in which is embla, is pushing his pili into the pilu of the nanny goat. And out of his pili called Ask come embla, and the embla go to the egg of the nanny goat. And there starts to grow something. And out of the first human being on the planet, Frey and Freya. Frey masculine and Freya feminine. Out of a combination of a monkey and a nanny goat are coming the human being, according to this story. Frey, he gets the name Bok because his mother was a goat and he was the masculine coming from the goat, so he gets the name Bok. Then we get one happening. They were anyway a combination of two animals. This Frey, there is one short rhyme about this happening, what happened when he come out and he grow up with his mother being the nanny goat. He dee the milk from the nanny goat and he become bigger and bigger, yeah? But we have not so much idea how he looked like, probably not so much like me today. We have to think a little bit, a combination of one monkey and one nanny goat. But anyway, this guy has one short rhyme about his story from this first human being on the planet, and I will first tell it in a root language. That Frey vid odens visdom som gör det bocken till en bra man, en Goedman, som skapade goda människor, fylgior, valkyrior. In English this means that Frey get the wisdom from Odin, who made the bock to be a Brahman, and a Brahman is a man who is good with his hands. A Goedman, that means inside good, who created good people, souls and Valkyrior. Valkyrior is one process, what we will come later on to in this story. He get the wisdom from Odin, and the wisdom that he got were 29 sounds, in which every sound has one meaning. I will first call all the sounds. They start with E, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, O, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, I, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, O. They go in one ring, these sounds. In this ring are 23 sounds, and outside from this ring are 6 more sounds. X, U, Z, O, E. Now I will explain the meaning of these sounds. It's a bit much to get from the beginning, but anyway. The sound A means Aser, and Aser are the people who live in Ashel, in the North Pole, in Udenma, in Asgård, the garden of Uden. B means Bori, which means castle. C means Shara, and Shara means moon sickle, Frey symbol. C means also you see. D means dag, the day. Nice day today. E means ache, and ache means oak tree. F means frö, Frey, Freya. Frö means the seed. G means grund, the ground where we sit on. O means hell, home, and hell is the North Pole, before the ice. E is the prick of the bock. E means jarler, one class of people. Ko means karler, a second class of people. L means lag, lucky, logic, law, logic. M means moonen, the moon. N means Noordstjerna, the North Star, also knowledge, knowledge. The sound knowledge starts with N. U is Uden, and Uden is the sun, and Uden is a ring, and Uden is everything. P means Polen, the pole. Q means kwadraat, having to do with mathematiek. When you put the pole in Uden, you get two-dimensional, one cube. Yeah, having to do with mathematics. R means Ra, and Ra is the first son of Bok, who represents the moon on the earth. S means Sule, the sun. T means Tur, the heart friend, and Tur's hammer. U means Oorsprung, and Oorsprung means origin. Everything is coming out of one Oorsprung. V means Vaner, and Vaner are the people who live in outside of Udenma, this ring around the North Pole, with hell as the center. Udenma is one land with a diameter of about 200 kilometers. The center is hell, and when you draw one ring with a diameter of 200 kilometers, you get Oedenma. Inside Oedenma live Aser, and outside Oedenma live Waner. We start the alphabet with A, Aser, and we end with B, Waner. Outside are the 6 symbols: X, U, Zeta, O, E, Ö. X is a symbol for Thor, Thor's heart, heart friend, and Thor's hammer. U means Yggdrasil, and Yggdrasil is a mythological tree. It's the woman tree, the world tree, the tree of all living things. Also the ash tree. The ash tree is actually Yggdrasil. Zeta is one flash between two Thors. It's one energy that go, yeah, with certain people, one flash, you know, that they can be more close with particular people, other flash. O, E, Ö are 3 sounds. O means O-rike, and that is the 3rd period we get after the Ice Age. E is Engrike, the 2nd period after the Ice Age. And Ö is Eurike, the 1st period after the Ice Age. To this we will all come back later on in the story, so I won't talk so much about it now. In this story we get incest straight from the beginning, because Frey and Freya, brother and sister, start to make children together, and Frey, who has all these sounds, these 29 sounds, where every sound has one meaning, he starts to transfer them to his sister so they can communicate, and now they are making children there, and they become a whole bunch of people there on the top of the North Pole, all kind of combination of one monkey and one elephant are running around now on Oedens Ö. Oedens Ö is one Ö, one island on the exact North Pole, outside from Hell. Hell is on the mainland, and in front of Hell are 7 islands, and one of these islands is called Oedens Ö, and in Oedens Ö was the exact North Pole before the Ice Age. And on Oedens Ö, this Apa and this nanny goat got together and came the first human being on the planet. They become a whole bunch over there. This Apa, he had Embla coming from his egg through his ask to the egg of the nanny goat. But Frey, he was the first one to have sperma. Now when they become a whole bunch of people, this Frey, he has to keep his sperm line, his sperma line, because when his sperma goes something wrong, it falls in pieces, this human being will disappear from this planet in very short time. So it became very important for him to keep his sperm line. To do that, they created one system. Frey and Freya, when there was already one bunch of people, and the number 12 son is the Bok in the future. He made also 7 daughters. The first one is called Maya. Ra, the first son, he is Kuning-As. Ku means the moon, and Ra is representing the moon, and Ra is making the Ras, the race of human being. And Maya is Kuning-As, the first one called Maya. And again, when he gets this number 12th son, his number 12th son again takes one swan, and with swan he makes 12 sons, the first one Ra, the number 12th one, the new Bok of the future. Only the Bok, the number 12th son, is giving out sperm. All others don't make children. Also the 7 daughters don't make children, after they have been getting this first group of people on the North Pole. But in this way he keeps his sperm line. And this sperm line we talk about as piruet. Pi is one ring, and Ru means when you have Ru inside you, you have peace inside you. So Piru means peace circle. Then we have Et. The sound Et means din Et, din stam, din root. Root is the root of the tree, the stam is the stem of the tree, and the Et is the branches of the tree. And over the branches, in the branches come the crown, the oak tree. This pirouette is one thing what we still today make in the ballet. When you turn very quickly around yourself, you make one pirouette. Yeah? This pirouette is this Bok family, and they have as one symbol the ash tree, because they belong to this tree Su, to this Sat tree, who is one ash tree. Yeah? So they are all represented by this ash tree. Where all other people who are coming belong to one oak tree. So only the Bok family belong to this ash tree. In this way, anyway, there don't come so many people on this planet. Yeah, because only the number 12 son is making children. So to get more people on this planet, they are making a second Et. Ra is making a second Et. Ra is the king, he is maker of the race, the Ras. They make another system by taking out other stam mother, called Disa. One Disa and many Disor. They were taking out actually many Disor. And now this number 12 son, Bok, not only made children with his Sman, he also made children with Disor. So now we get maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Disa. Yeah? And now this Bok start to make children with them also. Out from Disa come 4 possibilities. Either it's a boy or it's a girl. If it's a boy and he is physically well, he is really okay guy to give out sperm, he is called one Ra-Bi. And Ra is the first son of Bok, and one Bi is one animal that goes from flower to flower in the breeding system of flowers. One bee is black and yellow construction. One Ra-Bi is giving out sperm. If he is not good to give out sperm, he gives out stories. Then he is called one Nar. Nar. If it's a girl and she is physically well to be one stem mother, she is called one Disa again. So she will be Disa in the future. And if she is not good to get children, she is called one Sienare. Sienare is one woman who looks in the crystal ball and makes astrology. Aser are the people who live in Woedenmach, who speak root language. These 29 sounds that Frey got from Woeden, as Woeden's wisdom. So they speak As language, root language. So the Sienere make astrologiek, which is one system of keeping track of all these people who are born now on this planet. So it's one bureaucratic system by which she could go out. When we come to the next ad that they were creating, she could go out and check on the Jarl boys who was born, the whole star and sky system in her crystal ball, and she could look the future of this Jarl boy, of his particular function he was going to have in the tribes that left after him from hell. Now we have 2 ads. We have Pirouette and Roos ad. Pirouette is the Bok family, and Roos ad is the children of Bok through Disorna. Yeah? Now also in this way there didn't come so many people on this planet. These Pirouette and Roos-et people speak root language and they live in Woedenmach on the North Pole. But now they want to populate this bowl. They want to go out and they send out people in the form of tribes consisting of Jarl, Karl and Trail. Jarl-et, Karl-et and Trail-et. 3 et go out from this ring of Woedenmach. When these people have been coming out, they create for these people another language called Waan language, because inside Oudenma live Aser with root language and outside live Waaner. And Waan language is one language constructed for these people going out populating this bowl. Waan language. Going out in these tribes consisting of Yaal, Kaal and Trail, spreading in different parts of this planet. The Yaal woman is made pregnant by the rabbis who is going out from Oudenma. Out come one Yaal boy or one Yaal girl. The Yaal boy, he is making children with the second class Kaal woman. The Kaal woman is choosing the Yaal boy. Out come one Kaal boy or one Kaal girl. The Trail woman, the third class, is choosing the Kaal man. And out come one Trail boy or one Trail girl. And the Trail boy, he couldn't make any children. It was forbidden for him to make children. So we get 5 et of people on this planet, Piru et and Roes et in Oudenma, and outside Yaal et, Kaal et and Trail et. We have Yaal men and Yaal woman, Kaal men and Kaal woman, Trail men and Trail woman, who was all equal, but they had different things to do. The Trail was doing the work, the Kaal was thinking, and Yaal kept the contact through rabbis with Bok and Ra. Now, the rabbis were the son of Bok. The Yaal men and woman were the grandson and granddaughter of Bok. The Kaal woman and men were the great-grandson and great-granddaughter of Bok. And the Trail were the great-great-grandson and daughter of the Bok. So it was one big family spreading out over this bowl. So when the Kaal, who was living in the tribe, gave order to the Trail, it was his own children he gave order to. And of course the Kaal by himself, he respected again the Yaal, his father, who again respected his father, the Rabbi, who of course again respected his father, the Bok. So he was one big family. We go out in the form of Yaal, Kaal and Trail tribes to different parts of this planet, and these people live around one fire. The man on one side of the fire and the woman on the other side of the fire. And we lived in rings. One ring of Yaal men, one ring of Kaal men, and one ring of Trail men. And one ring of Yaal woman, one ring of Kaal woman, and one ring of Trail woman. We was not men and women in the same way that we are today. We were completely different system. We had one completely different breeding system in this time. That the Trail woman was choosing the Kaal man, and the Kaal woman was choosing the Yaal man, and the Yaal woman was choosing the Rabbi. The Rabbi was the son of Bok. In that way, they divided the sperm of this Bok 4 times. That is why the Trail boy couldn't make any more children by himself, because it would have been coming out one construction which was not suitable to live on this planet. They had to make one race of human beings, but they had to improve this combination of monkey and nanny goat. So only the best exemplars could make children according to one system, what I will explain in a minute. They were living around the fire. They were all equal, and they had different things to do. What the woman knew, the man didn't know anything about. What the man knew, the woman didn't know anything about. So the man and the woman needed each other. Yeah? The whole breeding system went out in different, according to certain days. And some of them we have still left today. In the breeding system, The first important day is the 13th of December, the 13th of 12. And this day is called Lucia Day. And Lucia is this woman who is coming with the light on her head down the hill, and she appears in the dream of the woman who have the intuition to get one child in the next year. And she comes to them in the dream on the 13th of 12. And on that day you take out those women who have the intuition to get one child. They were controlled, these women. They had to tell that now they have been getting this dream, and if they had the feeling, they get this dream. If they didn't want to have one child, they didn't get this dream, so there was no question for them to go to this rati, to this jury, to give out that now I want to have one child. This is the 13th of 12, Lucia Day. Luz means light, Si means Lucie, and A means Asa. Lucia. Then we come to the next big day, and the next big day is the 24th of 12. And the 24th of 12 is called Festival Day. Festival. Fest means one fest, E means the brick, and Val means election. So the meaning of festival is that you elect one brick in one fest. Festival. And Festival Day is the 24th of 12. When all these women who have been having the intuition to get one child in the next year are coming forward to look to the men that they have in their tribes. The trail woman is coming to look to the Kaal man. The Kaal woman is coming to look to the Yaal man, and the Yaal woman is looking to the rabbis who has been coming out from Ashel, from Oud and Ma, to bring sperm to the tribe, coming from their father, Bok. In this, they had to choose this man who was standing on one pedestal. P is one ring, D is when you drink. Yeah, Freya and Freya, D, the milk from the nanny goats, their mother. And stall means one stall is like one stable. You can have one stall of mannequin today, and before you have also one stall of horses, and you have also one stall in this time, meaning these rabbis, because rabbis come from Ra, they are sended from Ra, and Ra symbol is one horseshoe. So Ra is sending out Ra's ridderen, Ra's knights, who is going out with sperm to make pregnant this Yaal woman, and they stand on one pedestal, where this woman is like in the market square choosing this man. Because the woman was choosing the man didn't have any right about this thing. He was chosen. He was chosen in a quite particular way, and to show off his whole thing, to be one father, or maybe to become one father, was the highest thing you could be in the heathen time. For one woman to be one mother, and for one man to be one father, was the highest thing you could be. They had to go through all kind of ceremonies, and the first ceremonies we find 2 days later on the 26th of 12, called Boxing Day. The day we sing for the Bok. And on Boxing Day, still today in English, on the 26th of 12, these men were showing off their prowess, and they went through all kinds of ritual. They were doing physical exercises. They were hoppa bok. They were jumping over one bok, like we still have today, one bok in the gymnastic, and you jump over it. And on this bok you can also make this fantastic turn movements. Yeah, they can do all these fantastic exercises, these guys, the gymnastic. And another thing they did was they were sitting on one bok, one saw bok, like you have two crosses with one tree over it, yeah, on which they cut wood, but you could also sit on this pole. Two guys opposite each other, like you and me. We sit in this way on this thing, and then we have two leather bags tied to our wrists, filled with grains, and now we smash each other in the face. And the guy who fell off, he had been losing that part of the ceremony. Now they went through different kinds of ceremonies through this day, and they finished with one called parade. Parade is one thing what we still have today in the army, but before we had it in the breeding system. And parade means that you have a par raad. Par means two, and one raad is one line. So you have two lines of men who now make all kind of exercise what we still do in the school today. Yeah, the children, they go in two lines, and then the back ones come through and run backwards again, and they jump over each other, and they make all these different kind of things. Yeah? But in this parade, where these men were doing all this exercise, one rabbi was sitting. One rabbi who had been sent from Ashel, he was looking, and he was sitting there, and he was looking all day to all these guys going through all these different kind of exercises, and in that moment he was eliminating these guys who he thought were not okay to be found. Now, the woman had to be really sure which man they were choosing. Because if this rabbi decided to throw out this guy, she couldn't become pregnant in the next year. So she had to be really sure which guy she was choosing. She had to really look that he's physically alright and good construction, so that I can get one child from this guy. Yeah? All the women who had been choosing the wrong guy were eliminated from having one child in the next year. After this, they all went home again to their Sal, Hal and Kammere in their different tribes, and remained quiet for a couple of days, where on the 1st of January, they give out this story to the children, what I explained before, how this whole bowl came into existence, yeah, and how the life evolved on this planet. On the next festival day we have on the 13th of January, and the 13th of January is called Knut Day, Knutdagen, the knot day. Knut means one, knot. Before in the tribes when we were living, the children were always on the woman's side of the fire. The children were always with the woman, up to they were 7 years old. When the boys were 7 years old, they were removed to the man's side and went with the man in the forest and became new men. And from 7 years old, the girls start to follow the woman, go out with the woman and learn all woman things, and they became new women on this planet. On Knut Day, on the 13th of January, we learned all boys to make one thing, what we in Waan language call sauna solmus, sauna knot. And sauna knot is one physical exercise by which the end result is that these boys from 7 years old, who are still quite flexible, can easily move their knees behind their shoulders and lay their feet in their neck. And in that way they could drink the sperm from their own prick. So they started to drink sperm from their own prick from 7 years old, every day until they died in the heathen time. All men on this planet. So they were all making sauna solmus, so they could never have been looking like one taxi driver with one big stomach. Yeah. This is the 13th of January. All boys start to go through this ceremony every day for the rest of their life. The next festival day is the 24th of 5, the 24th of May. And the 24th of May, these men and women are now coming together. These women who have been choosing these men come together on 24th of 5th on Hel Oedens Dag, on Hel Oedens Day. And in that they are finally one more time being judged by this Rabbi who is out in the village. When they come together to appear in front of Ra or Rabbi, he is making the final control that this man and woman is good to make children. And in that happening he uses 4 words. He says Mina Ra Kastan Sinua. Me Ra, I Ra, baptize you. Mina Ra Kastan Sinua. And when he said these 4 words, you were okay to make children. And now you was together, one man and one woman. For example, one trail woman, one trail man, one trail woman and one Kaal man were now together for 1 month period, from the 24th of 5th to the 24th of 6th. And this month was called honeymoon. And honeymoon consists of 3 sounds. Hun, I, moon. Hun means she, I means the prick, and moon means the mouth. So now this woman has in 30 days time the right to drink sperm from this guy. So that all this energy from this sperm go to her child, which she is making on the 24th of 6th with this guy, so that this child become one wise child. Honeymoon from 24 of 5 to 24 of 6. But on 24 of 6, 12 o'clock midnight, this sperm was put to that egg, so that they start to grow something in the stomach of this woman. On whole planet, all in the same time, so all children on the planet were born the next spring in March. 9 months later on, which was very nice when you were living in one tribe, yeah, where you had now maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 women who have children, all in the same time, so it made them to be very free also, because 5, 6 women could look after 10 children, no problem, because they have all you can have all doing this thing at the same time. It made the life to be more easy today. Where do we continue from here? 24 of 6. 24 of 6, yes. This is the way the breeding system is working, yeah? So we have the 13 of 12, Lucia Day, the 24 of 12, Festival Days, 26 of 12, Boxing Day, the 1st of January, where we explain the story of the egg, from where come the whole life on this planet. The 13th of 1, the 13th of January, Knut Day, and the 24th of 5th, where starts honeymoon, to 24th of 6, where the children was made. Now this is more or less the breeding system. They had another system where they give out knowledge. The rabbis gave out sperm, went to the different tribes, and the nars, they give knowledge. The nars, they get educated in hell, and they get their knowledge from the 7th tar, the 7th daughter of Per. The old book, he is always called Per. Ra is always Ra. And the number 12 son, he is called Bok. So we actually talk about Per, Bok and Ra. Yeah? Per means also, still today in French, father. Yeah? And we are all persons, sons of Per. Yeah. The Nars get the stories from the Tars, who make these stories with their father Per. They transfer them to the Nars, and the Nars go out from Udenma to the Rasti. And one Rasti is like one cross with 4 equal legs, like we find it in the Swiss flag still today. And the Rasti is in one dal, one dale, one valley. Around the Rasti is one circle. And in the cirkel, the nars come and make cirk oes. Oes means love, and cirk means like circle, round. And when you have the law inside, you have cirkel with cirk oes, the love for the cirkel. Where this nar give out stories in the form of animals. The heathen people believed that the animals were more human than the human being. So all stories given out in the rasti, in the circus, were done by them dressing themselves up like animals who had one particular meaning in the stories they were giving out in the rasti. They say the animals are more human than the human being because the animals are one completed evolution on this planet. From one elephant come one elephant, come one elephant, come one elephant, and from one bird come one bird, come one bird, from one monkey come one monkey, come one monkey, but one human being was a combination of a monkey and a nanny goat who had to develop into human being in one strong race where no degeneration would be possible anymore before this race would have been complete and being on one physical level similar like the animals who don't die out if you don't shoot them. That's why the nars play the story in the rasti in the form of animal. In the rasti are three boxes. There is nek class, stoer class and lil class. Nek class is pair. He is for the baner when they go outside of Oedenma. Pair is called wijnemeunen. When stoer class is talking, when big class is talking, everybody knows it's Ra. The baner talk about ilmarinen. And when lil class is talking, the bok, the small bok, everybody knows it's the bok, and he is called lemminkainen. So we have per, bok and Ra, and we have wijnemeunen, ilmarinen and lemminkainen for the baner, per, bok, Ra for the aas. Nek class come again from Nekken, which we have here, but Nekken we have also there. And from Nek class we get three classes of people, Jaal et, Kaal et and Trail et. And we have three classes also running in this rasti, in the circus. Nek class, stoer class and lil class. Stoer class means the big class and lil class means the little class. And nek class is the old fox. In the rasti is also the fox. The fox is also one symbol for Ra. And Ra is representing the moon. Now the moon has two sides. The sun is white all around. Bok is only wood. But Ra, the moon, has a light side and a dark side. And when he is running as a fox into this rasti, where they are giving out stories to the people, this fox, he can give out foxy information, dirty stories, where the people have to be a little bit, now they become reminded of all kind of thing, what can be dangerous or bad to do, or they was living in a big jungle on this planet and had to find their way in homes by all information which was coming through sound and theater given out in the rust. There were many other animals in the circle, but we won't go through all of them in this story. We have the breathing system and we have the information system. The breathing system starts from actually Oeden's Öl, where this first happening was. I will describe first a little bit about Oedenma. Yeah. This Bok family was living on one island called Wienö. Wienö. Ö means island and Wienö. On Wienö were living this Bok and Swan, and their 12 son and 7 daughter, and maybe more daughter and son if they had more. But they always had minimum 7 and 12 to keep this system going of breeding and knowledge. Yeah? On Wienö they were living, and Ra had his house in Raamsviken, in the bay of Raam. Raamsviken. And Bok, he had his place in Udensdalsvik. If you wanted to see Bok personally, you could come up to Wienö, but it was only happening in very seldom cases. But if you went up there, you went to one place called Sulaberget, 7 Sun Hill. One hill on Wienö, where Bok sits on top, and now you come there and you can talk with him personally. Ra, he had in front of his place one area called Raamsudden. Udden is like one peninsula. So people could also come by boat to this Wienö and put their boats around Raamsudden, and there Ra could stand and give out all kinds of information. There was another hill there called Kaasberget also. This Kaas is quite interesting. Kaas means one hill. And when you tell from one Kaas, you put one building on top there, so you get one Kaastel. And when you tell about Uden, you get one Kaastel Castello. Yeah, in that way they constructed also all these words, yeah, with this particular meaning based on the sound. That was where this Pirouette family was living. They were working in other places. Per, or we'll talk in this case about Wijnemeulen, he was working on Oedensö, where was the exact center. And on Oedensö was one place called Lysnarberget. Lys means light, Nar means the Nars who go out to... If you wanted to ask questions to Wijnemeulen, you were shouting your question in the evening time when you came up over the fire to Ilmarinen. Ilmarinen was shouting up the question to his father, Wijnemeulen, sitting on top of Lysnarberget. Wijnemeulen is sitting and thinking. He shouts down the question, the answer to Ilmarinen, and Ilmarinen transfer it again over the fire to the Waner. So it was a very realistic system. It was open parliament, because everybody could hear what Ilmarinen was shouting up to his father and what his father was shouting down to Ilmarinen. Yeah? The sun is shining on the moon, reflecting to the people. Yes, Bok is representing the sun, reflecting on his first son, Ra, who is representing the moon, reflecting on the people. The people are called Tomtar. Bok is Tomtepaar, the father of Tomter, and Swan is Tomtemoer, the mother of Tomterna. And we are all Tomtar. And every Tomte has one Tomtestjärna, one Tomte star. So we all have one star. The people are the stars. Ra is the moon and Bok is the sun. Yeah? When you go further on from Oedensö, you come to the next island, and the next island is called Freyskjær. And from Freyskjær, next to Freyskjær, you get Frösundet, Siem and Salmi. How could you put that in English? Frösundet. Frö means seed, and Sundet is like one channel, so Frösundet means sea channel. And on the other side of that channel is one area called Bokland. And on Bokland, Bok, the 12th son, he has one Saal. And from this Saal he goes over Siem and Salmi, over Frösundet to Freyshare. And on Freyshare he makes pregnant all diesel. So it's one island, very beautiful island, where this bok is making children with all diesel. So all diesel now come there, who are chosen to be stammon. Yeah? Ra is working in another place. He is living on Vinö. He is working in hell when he is making this question and answer thing with his father. But he is also working with his sister, Maya. He is Kuningas and she is Kuningatar. And they are living or working in Raasepuri. Ra means Ra, Se is this moon sickle, this fertility symbol. Puri in root language is Bori. It's Puri in Vaan language. Bori means castle. Pu means also tree, oak tree. And Ri means again and again. So Rase Puri means that you again and again make oak tree. Pu through the sea. And Ra is making the organization. The Ras is made by Ra. Raasepuri. And in Raasepuri is one enormous tower. Rabel's tower. And in Rabel's tower, one big tower with on top one onion domed clock, which is elevated a bit from this tower. Ra is sitting and he can look from underneath this open ring between the tower and the bell, and he can see all people coming up on the river to his place. And he sits there and his sound is going around in this bell, yeah, when he is repeating his sounds, when he is giving out his thing, when people can come up to him to be controlled also. Ra he can do it and the rabbis do it outside in the tribes. But when people come up to hell, also Ra, you can go to visit him and he will say these words to you, Mina Ra Kastan Sidwan. This permission to go to my children. For this number 12 son Bok to make children was quite a big thing, because later on in the history we of course get more and more people, so we need more and more diesel now. So he has to push out a lot of sperm, and to be able to do this, these boys have one sister. These 7 daughters don't make children and 11 brothers don't make children. Only the number 12 one give out sperm, but for him to be able to make pregnant all these, or this family have one system. They call them the father and the 12 diare. And diare means drinker, like you dee from the nannit of the goat. You can also dee from this prick what we have. So all these 11 brothers and their father in one ring system transfer the sperm from one guy to the next guy, and in the end it all goes to the number 12 son Bok, who get all the sperm from these guys and their father, so he is able to push out all this sperm to make pregnant all these dieselna, from which come Sienare, Rabi, Nar, New Disa, out from which come Jalet, Kalet, Trelet, all these people on this pole were coming anyway from the sperm, this Bok, in one line. These Vaner go out from As, and from As they go to As Ien. E means the brick of this Bok, and N means knowledge, Noordstjarna, North Star, knowledge. So from As they go out to As Ien, the first place they created. In there they created one place called Ki Na. Ki means the key to the heart, and Na is a combination sound of knowledge and Asa. So Ki Na means that you have the key to the knowledge of Asa. And Kina, we know it today as China. They go out, these rabbis, to make pregnant this Yal woman. And they go out from As to Rabi and Al, and create Arabia. Asanas Rabia, Arabia. They come from As Hell, and from As Hell they create Hellas. They go out in the form of tribes of Jarl, Karl and Trail, and they create Australien, Australia. They all come from Oud and Ma. Ma means land, Ma, it's a very strong word. Oud means Ouden, and Ri means again and again. So we get one place called Mauri, new land for Ouden, Mauri. They create one Rike, one empire called Afrike, Asernas Frö Rike, the seat of the Aas Rike, where is living Nekroes people. Later on these people come black, but Nekroes actually is red, because Nekroes is the head of the prick, as we explained before, from Thor's Hammer. They created another continent called Indian, today called America. A name that was coming there after 1470, when the Portuguese make one contract with the Rajas in India to change this whole Indian continent to one place called Hindustan and put a new name America. They created different small areas, yeah, we was all together, yeah, we were all coming from Sampo. The Waan people talk about Wijnemeunen, Ilmarinen, Lemminkainen, Sampo and Aino. We talk about Per, Ra, Bok, Frey and Freya. For the Waaner, Frey was Sampo and Freya was Aino. Sam means that you are together. Sam, same. And Po comes from the sound Pu. Pu means the oak tree. So Sampu means together tree. Aino is a combination of Aina and O. The Waaner don't talk about U, they talk about O. So Aina, U, Aina Uden, meaning always Uden. And Ainu people we still find in the north of Japan. Sampo and Aino, we all come from Sampo spur. We are all from the same tree, from the same oak tree. They create different places on this planet, one called Assam, yeah, which we still find in this country over here, one area called Assam, and we have these three tribes of people, Jarl, Karl and Trail. We have Karl men and Karl women, and when we talk about both of them, we refer to them as Kar, so we get one place called Al-Askar. And we have Maya people living in this globe. Maya is the first daughter of Ok. We have Lem-Inkainen, Inca people are also running on this planet. Lem means, again, this prick. They are living here on this planet, creating all these different kinds of places, and they are going out and out and out, and they start slowly to populate this ball. Now, before the Ice Age, all continents were north from the equator, because Hell was the North Pole. A different North Pole than we have today. And when Hell was the North Pole, all land was north from the equator, with the exception of the south points of South America, Africa, and parts of New Zealand and South Australia. All the other land was north from the equator, and all south from the equator we have water. They were living in this paradise time, quite nice life. The only thing they had to do was get more people on the planet, and they could take coconut, papaya and banana from the tree and live in their tribes, quite nice life. They did all kinds of physical exercise, so they became strong people who could maybe be chosen to be father. And they were cooking nice food. The human being can't live without a fire. And the human being is the only species on the planet who is using the fire. We need the fire, because through the fire we get one thing, what we call mahla. And mahla is in the trees. Magla is what we call in root Sav. And Sav, Magla, is in the green of the trees. So before we were taking a lot of leaves from the trees, and we had one big stone which we hollowed out. We made one group in this stone and we put fire under the stone and we cooked the water. When the water was cooking, we took all these leaves, these green leaves, and we put them in this pot. Special from nettle and from birch tree later on, from all kinds of trees, like to make tea. Yeah? And this green leaf you put in this water, and the Magla, when the water has been boiling, you take out one stick so that it doesn't continue boiling. You throw in the leaves and then they go down in the water and all Magla is going into the water. After 1 hour you take out the leaves, you throw them away and you drink the Magla, which is very good for the brain. The heathen people were believing very much on all this nature thing that we have around us, and that we need this green from the nature, this Magla, so that we can develop the brain and the body. Without it we fall in pieces. So we need the fire, the human being needs the fire. The fire is like wood on the earth. They were having a nice life and everything was going really nicely for them. They were quite happy people, I think. They were living in this beautiful nature, they had a lot of space, they went traveling around this world, and they had one incredible information system by which these rabbis were going all the time out from us to different parts of this planet, visiting these tribes consisting of Yal, Kal and Trail people, who through the rabbi kept contact with Bok and Ra. All the time Nars were coming out to all corners of the planet to play stories in the Rusty for the people. Sienere were coming out looking in the crystal ball for the Yal boy to see what function he has in the tribe. And in that way they had one incredible system by which they all had contact with each other. And they had a very nice life. Up to one day where we get one funny happening on this planet. We call it one Uden happening. That the axle of this earth is falling over. The axle of the earth is falling over. We get a new North Pole. And this happening make that we in 3 months' time get ice all over this ball. In this ice coming on this ball, on the mountain and on the north part of this ball, it killed all the people who lived in the north of this ball. We have one idea of where it was, because this ring of ice, when hell is falling over, we get a new North Pole. So hell becomes the old North Pole. We get a new North Pole. In 3 months' time we get all ice on the top of this ball, going out many thousand kilometers. This ice comes there because when this ball falls over we get enormous condensation of water at both poles, both new poles, and all this water damp from our world is collecting at these particular poles where we get all this ice. It built up in 3 months' time, and on the north it killed all people. We start to talk about one area called Alt Land East, meaning all the land ice. Alt Land East, all the land ice. And we know exactly which land was under the ice, because the only land we have on the planet is Rusland, Finland, Svealand, Norreland, Iceland, Daneland, England, Scotland, Ierland, Holland, Frankenland, Switzerland, Saxonland and Poland. This is the only land that we have on the planet, and this was the land that was under the ice. We have one land more called Thailand, but it was called Siam before. We can forget about it. The ice stretched from north from the Alps and the Pyrenees in one ring around this planet. And it killed all people living north from this line, except the people in Oud and Ma. Some of them got killed also, because the ice reached the outer edges of Atlantis, of Udenma. But anyway, they survived through one natural happening on this planet. And this one is the Gulf Stream coming out from the Gulf of Mexico, going over the Atlantic and shooting in between the coast of France and England through the English Channel and going straight up into the Gulf of Oslo, between Norway and Sweden. There it rebounds and goes between today Malmö and Copenhagen and hits the north coast of Germany, where today is Lübeck. From there it rebounds again and shoots straight into Bandenersvik, today called the Finnish Gulf, where at the place where today is Leningrad, it can't go any further, this hot water. So there, this hot water turns back on itself and starts to make one rosette, of which the center is lying exactly in front of hell. In hell there are hot springs. And the combination of this hot water coming from the Gulf of Mexico and the hot springs in hell make that there comes an enormous U where the ice can't come, because there is so much heat coming, generated from this energy through these natural phenomena. It was a very big catastrophe in which everything changed, because now these Azer people were locked in what we now refer to as Outland-Is. It's this hole in the ice, yeah, because that's the only place where the people live. Everywhere else they all died in this happening. These Pirouette and Rousset families become cut off from this Waner who is living outside on this boat. So now there is not any more Rabi coming out from Udenma, because there is kilometers of ice and these people are living at the bottom. They couldn't get out and nobody could get to them because they had to go over thousands of kilometers of ice. They couldn't go in. Outside also big confusion. Everything is changing. Deserts are coming into appearance, the climate is changing everywhere on the planet, so we are going away from this mild tropical bowl what we had from before, yeah? In which all people were looking same. We were all dark before Ice Age. All people on this planet were dark. In this happening, this first big destruction of Azer, we call it the first Ragnarök, the first great destruction of Azer, the first Ragnarök, where the axle of this earth is falling over and we get the Ice Age. Outside of the ice is very big confusion. Of course, there was all the time many Rabi and Sienra on the way to different parts of this bowl. So also outside, from all this ice on the top of this bowl, were Rabi and Sienra living under this banner, these tribes consisting of Jarl, Kaal and Trail. In this happening, the Trisul, the symbol of the bok, outside from Outland-Is, is becoming divided under these different Rabis who are outside from the ice in this catastrophe. We get one Rabi and he becomes P-King. P is one ring and King is the king of the ring, is P-King. Another one becomes Sultan. Sul means the sun, Ta means you take, and N means knowledge. Another one becomes Rasul. In Arabia they are called Rasul. Ra is Ra and Sul is the sun. Rasul. In the south of Asia we get one called Narkasur. Narkasur. Nar is one nar, Kaas is one hill from where you tell about Uden, Ur, Uden and Ra. Narkasur. Bok was Tom de Vaar and Zwaan was Tom de Moer. They were also the father and the mother of the Rasti. So in Africa we get one Rastafar and one Rastamoer from where it's coming out the new stories and the new breed of people from these Rabis outside from the ice. In this happening, the whole system is collapsing because there is no new sperm coming from this bog. He is locked in Atlantis. So outside they are forced to make more or less this happening that is occurring now according to this saga. And that is that the Trisul is being divided. So we start to find it in many different places. Yeah, we get the Trisul in Greece, in Hellas, we get the Trisul in Rome, we get the Trisul in Hindustan, we get the Trisul in many different parts of this planet. We start to get Trisul. Who is this Rabis, who is the son of Bok, who is now becoming like the Bok outside from the ice. But not one Bok, many Bok in different parts of this planet. They made the same system as Bok made. They make their own Udenma, their own Peking, one ring, where they make two classes of people, like one pirouette and one roulette, and outside they have their tribe, Yal, Kal and Trail. They make their own language and create one different language for these people living outside. Like, for example, in China, we could call the inside ring to be speaking Mandarin, and outside ring speaking one of these dialects what they have in China. We get this in many different countries, a similar system like this. Now, to keep control of the people coming from their sperm, from these different Rasuls, Rajas, Sultans, Narkasus and Vikings on this planet, Rastafas, to keep track of that, they had to change the language. So from this As and Van language, the only two languages that were spoken on the planet before the Ice Age, these Van people outside, with these people coming from us, are starting to fix in the sound. They change the sound, so we get all kind of new sounds called all kind of new sounds from which we get different languages on this planet called Chinese, Arabic, Swahili, whatever you can think of. Yeah? All this new language coming on the planet. Because these people change the sounds, they could give out new information in new sounds in their Rastis, by which they could keep control of their people. So if one guy who was coming from this Peking, who was going out to Hindustan, he became caught because he can't communicate with the people over here, and he's straight sent back to his area. The climate is changed everywhere, so people are also starting to take different food to them. They are living in different circumstances, and they are coming now different sperm trees, which make that also the color of these people start changing. We get different looking people also. Now they couldn't improve anymore outside from the ice, because there was not access to original sperm coming from this bog. They could only keep on the same level if they had one Rabi in their area. But if they didn't have one Rabi, it was very easy. They could stay to the same level, but if there was not Rabi, if they didn't have access to the sperm of one Rabi who make one's own pirouette line after the Ice Age, these people would be building themselves backwards. And this we can find one example in Africa, where we have people called Pygmy, who are much more smaller than all other people who are living in the same continent. Yeah, so this is people who must be have been living in one area where they have been having no access to these sperm trees, these more original ones. So they built it, the race collapsed, yeah, in this physical side. Inside in the ice, the situation was very fun. They sit there in this Atlantis, in this hole in this ice, and they have no idea of what is going on outside. They have little idea, yeah, they can probably imagine what is going on. But the whole situation changed there completely. They can take any more papaya and banana from the tree, so they have to use their imagination, and they start to do all kinds of fantastic things on the bottom of this hole in the ice. In Atlantis, these people start to make what we call domestic animal, arctical animal. From the goat, who is one vuurkleuver, one Vuurkleuver. One kleufdier, one animal who has one spotted hoof. The goat was the only animal with spotted hoof before Ice Age, outcoming the human being who is maybe spotted. But from this one animal, goat, in Atlantis, they create from the goat the pig, the sheep and the cow. Domestic animals, arctical animals. And from the peacock they make chicken. In this period in Atlantis. They also start something what we can call agriculture, because their whole thing is changing. Their whole circumstances are changing. We are getting new trees in Atlantis. These palm trees didn't do so well in this hole in the ice. So we get new trees up there. And they start to make small form of agriculture and live with all these domestic animals, from where they now get all kind of nice things. Because these sheep give them wool, so they can put on clothes, because they was probably freezing a little bit up there in the north when they went on expeditions to the edges of the ice. Yeah? Inside hell was quite nice warm, because all this warm water was coming there, and they had their warm how do you call them, warm springs. Yeah, so it must have been a bit dees, how we call it, a bit misty. Yeah. Nice warm feeling probably. They were a small group of people who now not anymore was into one trip of making one race of human being on the same scale as they did it before Ice Age. The whole thing became much smaller. So in Atlantis period, sun and moon go together. Ra and Bok go together. Sul Shivan and Moon Shivan go together as one Shiva called Raphael. The Bok is called Raphael, and he represents Ra in the same time. His woman is called Sa-Ra. Sa means you get, and Ra is Ra, so she gets Ra, Sa-Ra. Raphael and Sarah don't make anymore 12 sons and 7 daughters. They make 7 sons and 7 daughters. And the 7th son make again together. They make this whole system, yeah, by making these people. But they don't make anymore these 3 heads of Yaal, Kaal and Trail. Yeah, they keep it pretty small, one pirouette, a rousette combination, yeah, living in Atlantis. And now there was not any more point in making millions of people, because it was only a small hole in the ice, 200 kilometers diameter, a lot of it is water, so they had to take it very easy. The thing to do now was to survive, keep the race, develop it, which was now very easy for them, because they were only a small community. So they didn't have to travel this sperm to the other end of the planet. It all remained in this small area. And this thing lasted 50 million years. According to the saga, the first Ragnarök was 50 million 10,002 years ago. And they stayed 50 million years in Atlantis, in this hole in the ice, on the bottom, in Udenma. In 50 million year time, these people developed to quite incredible height, because they had access to the sperm of this bok, who was easy to divide in this small area, and they become white with blue eyes and blonde hair, because they live in this dark hole at the bottom, where they had not so much access to sunshine, because this Earth axle has been falling over, which makes that 6 months of the year it's completely dark. And the other 6 months, they have nice little bit sunlight. Yeah? And the sun traveling around this whole area could maybe shine to the bottom of this hole only a couple of hours per day. Yeah? Because it was kilometer high walls of ice. Yeah? So in this happening, they become blue-eyed with blonde hair and white skin in 50 million year time. In this whole period, when this whole period starts to finish, course there is also a finish to this Ice Age story, is because this hot water coming from the Gulf of Mexico is starting to eat inland in this area between the south of Norway, Sweden, Holland, Germany. It's starting to eat there. Yeah, so one day the Acer in Udenma, they discovered that on the other side of this ice, what is retreating in 4 different periods, what we know about in this Ice Age people, it's receding, yeah, slowly. It lasted 50 million years according to the Eden Saga. And this hot water coming from the Gulf of Mexico is eating inland. So one day the Acer inside Udenma discovered that on the other side of their U in the ice, which has been becoming smaller already, is contact with open water leading to the Atlantic. Somewhere in the East Sea came one area where they could go out into the Atlantic. In the same time, along the coast of Norway, the hot water was eating more and more of this ice. And the Acer know that when this hot water is making one break between the ice covering the North Pole and the ice on the Festland, when it comes one break there, this ice will start to roll down. And they are in the unfortunate position of sitting at the bottom of one hole in the ice and they can be crushed by it. So to get out of this situation, 10,002 years ago, Raphael and Sarah decide to make one expedition. They built boats in Atlantis. They built boats. Excuse me. Boats or goats? Box. They built boats. I'm getting really out of it now, mixing boats and goats. They built these boats, nice boats they built, and in these boats they put these domestic animals that they have been creating in Atlantis, and they put in all kind of seed from all this new plant and tree that has been coming up in that area over there, and of course also enough food to scale this whole ice, and they have to find out what is on the other side of that happening. Raphael and Sarah decide to make one expedition with their 7th son, who have the names of the days of the week and all knowledge accordingly. Now in Atlantis, in this 50 million year time, they spoke only one language, root language, but they kept this Van language. This Van language is one quite fantastic system which is based on the sound of the root language, but constructed in such a way that you can have many casus. And this casus system creates that from one stem word you can roll out through endless different endings an enormous amount of words by which you in a very detailed way in one word can express yourself about one particular situation. If I want, for example, to describe the color of the sky here, I have to use probably many words in English, because yeah, it's whitish, yellowish, bluish, yeah, there's all kind of, yeah, you can't really call it blue, no? In this Van language, by taking the stem word blue, and putting different endings on it, you can come to the, in one word, to the exact meaning of what is this color or water in all kind of different stages, or land or stone or earth. So it's a much bigger language, the Van language, than the Aas language. It's much more detailed. The Aas language is a natural language coming from Uden. Yeah, in these 29 sounds, where every sound has one meaning, but this Van language is constructed by this Aser for this Van people, going outside from Udenma. They kept in 50 million year time anyway this Van language. These 7 sons they had the names of the days of the week, with the knowledge accordingly. We start in the Eden time with Dies Dag, and Dies Dag relates to the Isa, the stem mothers, the woman from where we are all coming, and Dies Dag is the day where we appreciate the woman. The next day is Udens Dag. And that's the day we appreciate the sun. The next one is called Toersdag. And on Toersdag we appreciate our toer, our heart friend. Yeah? In the heathen time every man had one woman, but also every man had one toer, one heart friend. And every woman had one man, but also every woman had one heart friend, one toer. Yeah, so we were always 4, 3 or 4 or 6 or 8 or 12. He was never alone, he was always many people. The next day was Vreesdag, and that's the seed day, vrees, seed. Yeah? It's also the day we appreciate the man. Then we come to Badstoedag, or Lutkedag, and that's the day we do washing. We clean up so that our surroundings are very nicely, so we can enjoy the next 2 days. Solensdag, where we appreciate Bok and the sun, and Moonensdag, where we appreciate Moon and Ra. The 7 sons go out on this boat with Raphael and Sarah when they think 10,002 years ago that it is close to break the ice between the North Pole and the ice on the Vestland. And with them go the 7 tours, the 7 heart friends of these 7 boys. And with these 7 tours go the 7 women of these 7 tours of the 7 boys of Raphael and Sarah. And with this go also the 7 tours, the girlfriend of the 7 women of the 7 tours of the 7 boys of Raphael and Sarah. So according to the saga, about 30 people ship themselves in with domestic animals and seed of plants and trees and all kinds of food on this boat, and they start to scale the ice. They cut trees which they put nicely in front of this boat so they can roll it up this wall, and on the other side they just glide down, and there they come to one big surprise called open water in the East Sea, from where they now start to sail westwards. When they come to one island, and they call it Bokland. And Bokland is one chalk cliff, one enormous chalk cliff. Bokland is today called Gotland, so if anybody knows where is Gotland, you can refer it to this. But anyway, up to the year 400, this place is called Bokland. Bokland is one chalk cliff, this island, sorry, also Norway, before called Norway. And this made that there was not any big stone coming from that side over to Bokland. Yeah, all the stone are being transferred in this enormous happening of ice rolling down, churning down to the south. On the land side you can see that the stones and the ice have been polishing the cliffs you find in all archipelagos, in Sweden, and on Finland's Finnish side. Yeah, everything has been nicely polished. But in Boklandet, in Gotland, this big chalk cliff is very sticky place. It's more soft. Yeah? It's not polished in the ice. So they could survive in these caves over there. And when second Ragnarök finished, they start 3 periods. The first period we refer to as Eureka period. And Eureka period means Island Empire period. Then the second period comes later on, Eureka period, Enrika period, and the third one, Eureka period. I think maybe now we make one small break in between, because I start to feel a bit dry up here. We can continue in 5-10 minutes.
Double hit. Hit me, baby.
No, because people are into it. No, I feel like yeah, it's better. We make one break. Y hola. You ready for it? Yeah? Not yet. Right, and number one.
Or two machines.
Put it like this. So, like this. We continue with these three periods after Ice Age. The first period, when these people have been coming out from Outland East and they moved to Bokland, we refer to as Eureka period, which is one island empire. You could call it island empire period. And this period is based on sun, star, moon and fishing. It was not much else they could do on this chalk cliff. But the thing they do straight away when they are on Bokland is to again split up this system of sun and moon. So we get again Bok and Swan, making 12 sun and 7 daughter, or more. The first son again Ra, the number 12 son again Bok, and the 7 Tars, the first one Maya, and they start to make again one race of people with 5 ets, Pirouet, Roes et, Jaal et, Kaal et and Trail et, who is now all white people. When they become more people, they shift over, and we start to talk about the second period after the Ice Age called Enrique period. And in Enrique period we start to spread agriculture. In this period they are moving over to Öland, a second island in front of the southeast coast of Sweden. There they start to plant out all this seed that they have been taking with them on the boat, and they start to spread agriculture with animals and this plant and seed life. This period is lasting altogether, Eureka and Enrique period, for about 1000 years. So about 9000 years ago, Bok he decides to move back to Hell and create again one Udenma with Aser inside and Waner outside. When he moves back, we start to talk about the third period, and the third period is called O-Rike Perioden, O-Empire period. One O is one river. So when the ice has been retreating from the land on Finland, and this Oar, these rivers start to flow down, people can make use from the river again, we start to talk about O-Rike period. Bok is moving back to Hell, and with him is moving his first son Ra, and there they are creating again one system of Aser in Udenma and Waner outside. But when he does this, the minute he moves back, there is one funny happening, that 2 of his sons, not the first one Ra and not the 12th one Bok, is jumping out from the system. One son is called Sven, and he is going over to the mainland, and he moves with one group of people who become called Svenskara, the men of Sven. And Sven is becoming like the Bok by himself, and he is creating his own hell in one place called Uppsala, and he is starting to make his breeding center from there. Another son who jump out is Dan. And Dan, he takes with him his Danskarar and moves over to the mark of Dan, Denmark as we know it today. With him he creates his own live wheel, Dan's live wheel, and the live wheel is called livshjulet in root language. So Dan is moving over to Jylland, today called Jutland, from where he is making his breeding center. So now we are getting 3 et of white people. We get one pirouette system in Hell, the original one, in Odenma, with inside Aser and outside Baner. But we get a second et from Sven called Linga et. And Dan is creating one et called Pol et. Now, Linga et and Pol et names are coming from one berry, a very simple thing as one berry. We have one berry in the north called lingonberry in root. In Baan language it's called puolokka, puolokoita. In English I think it is whortleberry, whortleberry. And in root it's lingonberry, linguden, and ling has to do with lingavon, language, lingam, all these things that have to do with speech. And Pol et comes from polokoita, polokoita in Baan language, so Dan is creating Pol et on the same name. So we get 3 et, Linga et in Sweden, Pol et in Denmark, and pirouette, the original one, in Odenmark. From Linga et and Pol et is going out one group of people who takes the way north and create Norway. From Pol et is going out other people in the time, and they move south to Saxlandet, they call Germany, and from there they spread over to Poland, and further south to Switzerland, and further west to Holland, Belgium, France, and from there they move over to England in the form of Anglo-Saxon, from Engrike period. In Engrike period we get agriculture, and to get agriculture we had also to invent all kinds of new words, because in Engrike period we get agriculture, which was developed already in Altland East, but to bring out this agriculture with one new language, they created one new language called English language, from Engrike period, the English language. So the English language is this agricultural language developed in Hell, in Altland East, under the Ice Age. There they spread over to Poland, and further south to Switzerland, and further west to Holland, Belgium, France, and from there they move over to England in the form of Anglo-Saxon, from Engrike period. In Engrike period we get agriculture, and to get agriculture we had also to invent all kinds of new words, because in Engrike period we get agriculture, which was developed already in Altland East, but to bring out this agriculture with one new language, they created one new language called English language, from Engrike period, the English language. So the English language is this agricultural language developed in Hell, in Altland East, under the Ice Age, which was brought out by these people in Engrike period, used in that way, not in the same sounds as we have today, because in English we have very different sounds than we have in root language. What for us is A is for you A, what for us is A is for you E, and what for us is E is for you I. So they have been changing in the sounds later on. This English language is this agricultural language, one completely new thing coming out from Altland East on this planet. And when it come over to England, it become this area where they are using this English agricultural language, and we know that in England we find traces of agricultural happenings about 8,000 years ago. 3,000 years before we find it in other big cultural centers on this planet. They are rolling out these people, these three heads of white people. This western one we will leave for a while now. We'll move over to this eastern side, to Pirouette. The Pirouette family is again creating Roosette in Oudenma, speaking Aas language, Pirouette and Roosette. And outside they sent out again people in the form of trail, in Kaal and Yaal, in tribes, with this Baan language that they have been keeping under themselves in this 50 million period that they were sitting at the bottom of this hole in the ice. They are reconstructing hell. They are reconstructing Hellstan. Also Tunastan, the other stan. Stan means one town. Where at Tunastan, on the outside of Tunastan, we find Raasepuri. Raasepuri's Castellum, who is still out there, one ruin constructed, today it's one ruin, one castle reconstructed by the Aser 9,000 years ago. From there is again going out this whole system with Rabi and Nar, and they start to populate to the north, outside from Oudenma, and going over to the east. The border in the north become Tourneo River, the river of Tour, which become the border between Pirouette on the east side and Lingaet, the Swedish side, on the other side of the river. And from there they start to spread eastwards, and they create Roosland from Roosette. Before Ice Age, hell was in Oudenma, and outside of Oudenma was Roosland. So the whole world was Roosland, the land of the roses, coming from the necros, who's going out to every corner of this planet. They populate whole Roosland, up to China, down to the Caspian and Black Sea, in 5,000 years' time. The same as Linga and Polet did on the other side. In many thousand years they come down. So we start to find white people north from the Alps and the Pyrenees, and north from the Caspian Sea, the Black Sea, up to China. We find white people from these three different heads coming out after the Ice Age. They reforest this whole place because under the Ice Age there was nothing growing there. It was all suppressed under the ice, so all this forest, what we can find from Siberia into Europe, is all man-made forest planted by these three head of people coming out from Alpha. In 5,000 year time they are down at the Black Sea, and there the confusion is starting. 5,000 years ago on the Black Sea, the new white banner coming out from this Oudenma system are meeting 50 million year old black banner who are living on the other side of this area. And when these people meet on each other, they start to mix, and in this mixing, these heroes from outside, this Rasul, Raja, Ra, Sultan, are infiltrating into this new system that is coming out. They are mixing with Trail women and Kale women, and in the end it's become one fight between this white and this black people, which this black people is winning because they are mixing with these white people, and slowly this whole system coming out from Oudenma is being eaten up in many thousand years time. 5,000 years ago we get one historical happening, that one of the 12 sons of Bok not the first one Ra, and not the 12th one Bok, is leaving Udenma. And he is going down to Egypt. And he becomes their Far Ra Uden. Far means father, Ra is Ra, and U means Uden. He becomes Pharaoh Uden, and he starts one original fertility system in Egypt. He is one guy from the Bok family who is not allowed to make children because he is not the number 12 son, but he is anyway making one original fertility system, breeding system in Egypt. With him he brings a lot of domestic animals. What these people, these Waan people, have never been seen before in their life because they were developed in Altantes and brought out by this Aser from Udenma. So with him he takes down a lot of sheep. And from sheep we get, he brings with him a lot of sheep and a lot of new plants they have been developing in Altantes. And one of these plants is the cotton plant. And cotton we call bean. Now before in Egypt we had one river going through the whole middle of Africa up to the north called Aura. And Aura is also one river that we find in Finland, going from the southwest corner of Finland, from Åbo, going inland. And this Aura river was the holy river for the Waan. Also in Egypt was one river called Aura, but when this Pharaoh would come there with his cotton plant, he started to produce a lot of lean over there. And when you turn lean around, L-E-N, you come to N-E-L, Nile. And they named this old Aura river to be Nile River as we know it today. This Pharaoh is building pyramids. Every man has one ku. The ku is the same like the cobra, the snake, and this ku we have in our trouser. And women, they have one pu. Men have ku and women have ku. In the heathen time, all the mathematics was done by the woman. When you had one name with Q, for example, inside, the sound Q means quadrat, having to do with mathematics, you knew that this was one heathen family who has very much mathematics inside them. So you went up to these people and asked them for it if you wanted to know something. In root language, when we talk about woman, we talk about kvinnor. And kvinnor starts with ku. And ku is the symbol of mathematics, which shows that there was a lot of mathematics under women in this time. Later on in England, this ku is removed only to the queen, where we get a lot of women. So before all women was kvinnor, but now only the wife of the king becomes the queen with this Q. So she gets all this knowledge, and it was not so much going around under the people anymore. He built pyramids, this Pharaoh, and he makes one original fertility system, and there became big people there in this northeast corner of Egypt, of Africa, sorry. They developed a very great culture, of which we know still quite a lot today, and I think we leave that part as it is. We can move over to the next big happening in this Bok family, because about 3,800 years ago, another one of the sons from Bok left from Udenma, not the first one Bok and not the 12th one Ra, one in between he left with lot of domestic animal, and he went to ASEAN. In ASEAN we had the same system continuing after the Ice Age as we had it in Paradise Time in all these planets. Paradise Time we relate to Paradiset, and Pa is Aserna's Polen, the pole of the Aser. Ra is the first son of Bok, who is making the Ras of people. Dis comes from Disa, our stammother. And et comes from din et, din stam, din root. The et are the branches of the tree. They are all belonging to. So pa-ra-tis et, the paradise, was in the North Pole before the Ice Age, in hell. And from there this et, this family, was spreading out over this whole pole, which was very paradisal. The paradise et. Paradise et in hell, which is built between 7 hills, and in front of these 7 hills are 7 islands, called the Sun Islands, Solöarna. The main island of Solöarna was Odensö, which was the exact center from where this whole happening was starting, this North Pole from before Ice Age. And Freyskjern was one of them, and one is called Falkö. Falcon Island, where when you came up to see Bob, you left your falcon on this island and you went over to Odense to see it. Then we have still one island called West Small Sun Island, Big West Sun Island, and Big East Sun Island. And another island called London, which is a very small island, one small cast, one small hill, where 2 people could sit on top and talk with each other, and nobody could disturb them, nobody could hear what they was talking about. London derives its name from one animal that we call luket, lugissa, what you call in English lynx. And Lu means Oden's law. So this luket was representing the law. So we have Lonnan, Lu, Nan. Nan is a combination sound of N-A-N, 2 Noordstjernen, 2 knowledge, and 1 aser. Yeah, knowledge, aser, knowledge. So 2 people in Aas sitting on this island where they were talking Oden things. Yeah? London. In ASEAN they had the same system, a similar system going on here under this Narkasur, which we will refer to Hindustan, because under the Ice Age, when these different people, these different Rabi become these breeders by themselves, we get all kinds of new territories in ASEAN. Yeah, we have in Udenma Hellstan and Tuna Stan. And before you did everything for Tuna. Yeah, people were coming up and appreciating this place up there. It's all happening from Udenma, like hell was one Mecca for Eden. So in Asia we get different countries, different places, which we refer to as Afghanistan. Af is Asena's vreu, the seed of Asen. Gan means power, yeah, which later on in England made one gun from. I is again the prick of this book, and Stan is again referring to Hellstan, Tunastan, to one Stan thing. So one Stan is one center from where everything is going out. So we get many Stan on this planet: Hindustan, Pakistan, Balochistan, Turkmenistan. We can go, there is quite many Stan on this planet. When about 3,800 years ago, one guy from hell come over here, in this Stan system what we have under Narkasur, it was the same system going on basically as in Udenma. This Narkasur, he was like the Bok, and he had his Rabi and Sienere, with whom he was spreading out one race of people and information. Now we were always 3, or actually 4, in the Paradise time, and also in the Atlantis period. We were Freya and Tur. We were Sampo, Aino and Tur. But Tur is masculine and feminine, so it was always 4. And these 4 symbols we find also in ASEAN. We find here Rama, Lakshman, Sita and Saraswati. Now Rama is the same like Frey. Ra means Ra and Ma means land. We have Uden Ma, have Ma. And Ma in Ban language means land. So we have Rama, is the land of Ra. We have Sita. The woman of Rama is called Sita. And in Finnish we have one, in Ban language we have one expression called Minavan, Sinavan, Mevan, Ajattelinvan, Mietinvan, Ninsonvan, Vanaya Vesi, Vanaya Joki, Vanaya Järvi. We have all this Ban expression because it's all Ban, one people with Ban language. And we have one expression also called Sitavan. And Sitavan really translated means like you go out to make children. Sitavan. And we have one Sita here. Seed A. Seed is like seed and A meaning ask. Seed from ask, Sita. The tour of Rama is Laxman. And Laks is one salmon. Laks is one salmon, is a symbol of wealthiness. And Laxman, man obviously meaning man. He is the tour of Rama. And the tour of Sita is Saraswati. Sa means you get, Ra is Ra, and Vatan means water, the life water. So Saraswati means she gets the life water from Ra. This is this four that we have here. Now Rama and Lakshman, we always see them in the picture, represented with one pilbuge, one bow and arrow, which means that they were great fuckers. They were not so much of warriors. When 3,800 years ago one big white man from the north is coming here with a lot of domestic animals that has been developed under Atlantis period, a lot of article animals. One of them is called hare, which you in English call hare. And another one was the cow. The cow has never been seen before in this country until 3,800 years ago, when this person is coming here with hare, with cow, with pig, and all kinds of other domestic animals that has been coming out from Atlantis, chicken. He is coming here to Asia. And his name is Krishna. And when Krishna come here, he killed Narkasur, according to the story still being played in the theater in India, with the teeth of one wild boar, one pig. What this Krishna had been bringing with him. Krishna also brings with him one woman, and his woman is called Radha, the day of Ra. And this guy is introducing, when he killed Narkasur, one completely new system on this planet, what never existed before that time, called one par system, where now every woman and man can make children together, but not anymore in one system like we had it before. You had Roos, had Jal, and Kaal, and Trail. Now Trail can start to make children together, Kaal can start to make children together, Jal can start to make children together, Roos had start to make children together. So in very short time, whole race in India collapsed, in Hindustan collapsed. We get one caste system, where only intermarriage in one caste is being promulgated. Not anymore one system of improving the people by one Trail woman is getting one child from one Kaal man, one Kaal woman from one Jal man, one Jal woman from one Ravi, in which we was bringing up one race of people. He killed Narkasur, and that make that all Rabi and Sienere become without any job. Because Rabi and Sienere was before these people who went out with sperm and bringing out knowledge. This Rabi and Sienere come without jobs. They are the children of Narkasur. This Rabi and Sienere, the children of Narkasur. We'll go back a little bit to this Krishna, because he has a very interesting name. Krishna is coming from Krist-i-na. And Krist-i-na is one story, what is being given out 10,000 years ago, 10,002 years ago, when this Arthur come out from Atlantis, where they give out new knowledge for the future. Because the idea of the answer was that in 10,000 year time they could bring out in this system of pirouette, roulette, yalet, kalet, trelet system, when it go out over whole bowl, in 10,000 year time they can bring the whole race of people on this planet to that level as the answer when they come out from Atlantis. But this thing obviously went quite different, already quite much from the beginning, when Dan and Sven jump out and make their own heads. And 5,000 years ago, Pharaoh would jump out. But this whole story of this Krishna is based on this thing, Christina, which is one future story, what the Asur gave out 10,000 years ago, by having this idea that they can bring up this whole bowl to that level that they are. For that 10,000 years ago, they say that in the 19th century, it will become born in Ud and Ma, from this Bok family, one twin. And the first boy that comes out from this twin, he should be called Carl Goodstaff Bok. Carl with C and good staff, meaning having a good prick, good. And through these two, he should go together with one woman and get one son. And this son, he should be called Raphael. Like this one under the Ice Age. Now, Raphael, he is appearing when Sol Shivan and Moon Shivan go together. When the sun Shiva slice and the moon slice go together, so we get one Shiva. So this Raphael, he should be Shiva, and he should take one woman, and the name of this woman in the mythology is known as Parvati. Vati means you choose, and Par means one pair. So Parvati means that you should choose to be one pair. And they should get one son, Ganesh, sun power. Gan means power and S means sun. Ganesh means sun power. And this was one future story that would end this 10,000 year period, where we would have this freedom that every woman could choose any man to make one child with, because the race should have been ready, Ra's race should have been ready, and it was not anymore possible to deteriorate in one physical way. We should have been complete human being 10,000 years after the Ice Age, 1984. Obviously everything went wrong. This Krishna, he takes this name from this woman Christina. Krishna, Christina, Krishna. By this, he could be like this guy, one hero who gave out that now you can be one par system, and everybody was very grateful to him. And when they asked him where you get this knowledge from, he said, I get it from the cow. So the cow straight away became holy. And the whole race collapsed in India, in Hindustan, in Asia. We get one story here in Hindustan called Prem Sagara in the Sanskrit literature. This Krishna is introducing one writing system here called Sanskrit. San means having something to do with sun, also having to do with true, sun. And Skrift means writing. Sanskrit. He is introducing one form of writing where we get Prem Sagara, Prem Saga Ra, the first saga about Ra, where he is dancing with Radha around the midsummer pole. These children of Narkasur, this Rabi and Sienre, they become without job here, so they decide to leave because via caravan coming from the west, they have been hearing information that in Egypt is one original breeding system going on. So this Rabbi and the Sienere decide to leave this whole happening from here and move to Egypt. And they arrive there about 1800 before Christ. I am not 100% sure about this happening. And when they come there, this Pharaoh Uden, who is making his breeding system over there, he doesn't really like to have these people over there helping him doing his job. So he keeps them a little bit on the side as one trail cast who can help him to construct the pyramid. Now, when they was in that situation over there, these people, they apply for one messenger coming from Udenma. They invite one person to come down from Udenma to Egypt. And about 1,300 years ago, about 1,300 before Christ, 3,300 years ago, this messenger is coming down from Udenma. This messenger is called Moer-See, Mother Sea. And Moer-See was one tar, not one of these 7 tar, one of more tar coming out from this bok and zwaan. Yeah, they always make 12 sun and 7 tar, but they could have more. And one of them who was more than the 7 left, and she had the name Moer-See. And she went down to Egypt. And Moer-See, from this we also get Morse. Yeah, you can make all kinds of sign in Morse by which you can spread information from one caste to the next caste, and transfer knowledge in that way. And Moer-See comes to Egypt and take out this Rabbi and Sienere from Egypt and go to one land called Canaan. Now under the Ice Age we have been developing this chicken, I told before, and in root, in Baan language, one chicken is called one kana. So after the Ice Age we get all kinds of kana land on this planet. We get Canada and we get Canary, again and again, islands, yeah, and we get also Canaan there in the Middle East. So this Moer-See is transferring this Rabbi and Sienere out to Canaan. Where she is doing one funny thing. She is copying this thing from Krishna. She is making one power system also with this Rabbi and Sienere. They become one power system. They become Adam and Eva. And now the heart friend, the Tur, become one book called Torah. So our heart friend was removed to one book with black letter on white paper, from where we now get all feeling information about how we should live together. We became one power system by Moer-See. She moved these people out from Egypt and they pass over Sinai, where she get the knowledge from the God. Yeah, we didn't talk anymore about Uden in this book, we talk about God. So people get one completely new idea on the planet through this book called Torah, which is anyway one combination of Tur and Ra, Ra being the king, and we were living in one Tur system. We were all Tur. Everybody was Tur. The Garden of Uden, Asgard, was removed to be the Garden of Eden, and the people are coming from Ararat, sitting in one Ark of Noah full of camel and elephants and paradise birds and I don't know what kind of animal, who is walking down from the top of this Ararat down to the earth, which sounds to be quite unrealistic. I think this story from when they depart from Atlantis with domestic animal in one boat over the ice is more fitting, and from there also she makes this parallel, this comparative story in this Torah book. This Torah book are 5 books, the first 5 books written by
Moerse. In this written thing, she do another funny thing. Because Moerse is coming down from the north, from Aashel, and she have the original Yud. And Yud means sound. So she can transfer some sound and to these people who become Yud people, the Jewish people, who are now living in one bar system, where the Torah is one book, black letter on white paper. Now in the heathen time we never wrote. Everything what you knew in the heathen time you got from one other human being, because there was no book, no radio and no TV. Everything you know you get from one other live human being. You have not any access in another way to information as to get it from another human being. So in that time the human being was still very important, because when you let the human being go by, the knowledge was walking away. She do one funny thing with this Yud, because she make one mark for every Yud, for every sound. Now in the heathen time we were also writing, we were also passing on messages, but we were doing it in the form of what we call runor. And runor is one sign, one picture, one mark, what you can make with one knife in one piece of wood, where you can carve inside, and you get all kind of picture. Now this picture of one runa, it can be like this, and this can mean one nose, my mother, one situation, one happening, one tree. It can mean many things. For that you have to know exactly how all these marks are going. You have to have a lot of knowledge in your head about how you put these different marks, so you can relate to making one mark, one story to one other person. And we had in this time people called Runkara, who had very high knowledge about this thing. Now the Chinese language we could compare with this kind of thing. This is one character language. It's one rune language, where when you look to the picture you have to use the associations in your brain so that you get the idea of the meaning of this thing. But when you make black letter on white paper, you cut out the thinking capacity of the brain and you project straight through the eye this letter in the back of your head, and you read and read and read and read and you read and you are full of book of what you don't know anything about. Because in this way you cannot in one logical natural way anymore eliminate the unlogical, because you project straight in the back of the brain, you cut out the thinking capacity. So it was one very heavy thing she actually did, to put this black letter on white paper in one Torah book. These people were living in the Middle East and they were continuing with their bar system, and obviously there was many heathen people living around them who didn't really agree with what they was doing over there. So we find one famous king from the history called Nebuchadnezzar. He is also mentioned in this book, and when you turn his name around you come to Ra Sendagub, meaning a very angry old man. But also Ra, Senda, is when you send a message, Ra send. Gubbe means like old man, like bok. The old bok is also called Gubbe, in Waan language Oepkop. He is also mentioned that he is taking out these people, and he tried to give them maybe some different information, but anyway their story seemed to continue over there. And one day, no, I have to go back a little bit. We go again to one of the sons from Bok. Again, 500 years before Christ, one of these 12 sons, not the first one Ra, not the 12th one Bok, he is setting out for one expedition to the east. Now, after the Ice Age, we get many persons who send out messages to different parts of the planet coming from Ashel, where they had all kind of knowledge about especially agricultural happenings and all these domestic animals. And these people were going to different parts of this globe, where we start to find in about the same time, 5,000 years ago, in different areas on this planet, we start to find agricultural cultures on the Indus Valley, in Mesopotamia, in Sumer, in Egypt, in China. We start to get all this kind of different happening on the planet, and this information was spread out by persons which we call Buddhas. Buddha is one combination sound of Bud, and one Bud is one messenger, one Buddha. And A means Asa. So one Buddha is one Asana's Bud, one message man from us. We have one saying from this, from before the Ice Age, from the Paradise time, and this goes, I will first say it again in roots, it's one rhyme, and it goes like this, that Han Oedens man, kom som Asernas boet, til Asien, het Oedens wisdom, som gör de bocken till en Brahman, en god man, som skapade goda människor, furior, valkurior. Which means, Han Oedens man, Hanuman, he the man from Oeden, Han Oedens man, Hanuman, kom som Asernas boet, came as a Buddha, as a message man from us, till Asia, to Asia, met Oedens wisdom, Vishnu, who made the bok to be a Brahman, a man who is good with his hands, a good man, inside good, who creates good people, soul and Valkyrie. This process has to have together. 500 years before Christ about comes one Buddha from hell, and his name is Gautama Buddha. And he see that whole this breeding system in Asia has gone completely bankrupt, and now already in 1300 years time they have one power system running over there, what is impossible for this man to change. So he leaves that side of the life quite completely, but anyway give out one information, one basic information, one very big philosophy about how these people can be and how they can live together and how they can relate and feel and think and understand this whole happening. Yeah? But he couldn't change anymore this whole thing, so he concentrates more on the heart. Yeah? He gives out now stories to these people of how they can live. In the Buddhist scriptures, they are talking about Buddha, the son of one king with golden locks. Now, if he has golden locks, he must have been born somewhere else than in Lumbini, because there you can't be born with golden locks. 2,000 years ago, we get again one of the 12 sons of Bok, not the first one Ra and not the 12th one Bok. He is leaving from Ashel, from Udenma, and with him he takes one woman, and he goes to the court of the Sultan in Byzance, today called Istanbul. He goes to Byzance and he becomes rådgivare, advisor to the Sultan in Byzance. The Sultan is sending him over as an ambassador to the court of the Pharaoh in Egypt. And this man and this woman, who have been leaving from Ashel, one son of this Bok, not the first one, not the 12th one, he gets with this woman one child. And this child is in the Middle East known as Isa ben Hakubu. When you turn Hakubu around, you get Oedens Bok Asena's home. And this Isa ben Hakubu, he grew up on the court of this pharaoh in Egypt, where he has been receiving a lot of knowledge from his father, who was anyway one of these 12 sons of Bok. And he got a lot of knowledge transferred from him, where he see at the same time this whole pyramid system with pharaohs in Egypt, and on the other side of the Great Water he see this Moses happening with these huge people, where everything is going quite funny according to the heathen system. And via caravan he get all kinds of news of Buddha and Krishna in the east. So this person gets very interested to go and have a look in these different areas to get information about what these people have been doing. So he moves to India. This Isa ben Hakubu, we shall refer to him as Jesus Christus. One name he take when he come back from India, from Hindustan, after he has been staying here a number of years and getting to know all knowledge about this Buddha and Krishna, what they have been making here. So one good day he decides to move back to Israel. El means law, Is means E, and Sulen, also eyes. And Ra is again Ra, yeah, the king. He comes back here to Israel and he sees that there everything is quite wrong. He never been before in Israel, before he come back from India, from Hindustan. He stayed in Egypt, go to Hindustan, and that's the first time he come back to he come to Israel. And there he start to give out his knowledge. He called himself Jesus Christus, again on this same Christ thing like Krishna has been doing. But he is bringing back the heart. He has find out that in this whole Moses system, the heart friend is missing. They are one couple, one Adam and Eva, sitting there in their house in the Middle East, yeah, and this whole system is not working so well. So he wants to bring back the heart under these people. So he gives many sermons about the heart, yeah. These Jewish people obviously didn't like him so much. This rabbi who was giving out now the information from that area. One rabbi was before one sperm giver, but in the Middle East he became one knowledge man. And the rabbi, these people over there didn't like him very much for that what he was giving out. So they put him on one thing what we call one shame pole. And then the local people was throwing a little bit tomato and egg. And after they took him off from this shame pole, his 12 friends, and they decided that the party was over and they split to Hindustan, where Jesus died in old age in Srinagar, where still today we can visit his grave, and his ash become thrown in the Ganga in Varanasi, in Benares. He come from Nasar Et, and when you turn Nasar around, you come to Ra, Sun. Ra is Ra, the king, and Sun means true. And Et means the Et in stam, in root. So he becomes from the true Et, the true family tree of Ra. About 600-700 years after Christ, again, one of the 12 sons of Bok, not the first one Ra, and not the 12th one Bok, he is leaving. And he is going to Arabia, and he is making one et over there called Muhammad. He is Muhammad, and he is giving out one new information with one new book based on this Torah book called Quran. Hu means the moon, Ra is again Ra, and N means knowledge. Quran, and he created one religion called Islam. Now one lamb is one animal on which the Greek people had already been getting very rich. Yeah? One lamb is one small animal from one sheep, one lamb. Yeah? And this lamb is coming out from the east, from the eyes, yeah? From our plant east. So he make all this symbolic thing to create one Islam and Quran book based on this Torah book. He is giving in a little bit more of this heathen feeling under these people. They can have many wives, not as we can be only Adam and Eva, but in the Quran you can have 4 wives, so they could make much big production of people over there, who later on in this big production start almost to take over our world. They run from Morocco to China. Out from this Torah book we get three religions. The Jewish religion, and we get from this Jewish religion, after the happening of Jesus in the Middle East, we get one offshoot, what we call Christianity. And we get Islam. Are all three based on this 5 book of Moses, this Torah book. All other philosophy on the planet are not religion, they are mythology. In this time of Jesus, the Roman Empire was very strong. So we come to that happening that about the year 400 the Roman Empire is collapsing. Now already 325 we have the first council of Nicaea, in where these bishops have been figuring out this whole new Christianity philosophy, and now they are removing all the old heathen festival days to be Christian religious days. So we have Christmas, and we have Easter, and we have all these kind of things what now come from one book called Bible. Bibel. We have Rabel, we have Rabbi, and we have Bibel. 400 after Christ, the Roman Empire is collapsing, and the Christian Church is taking over by on the old rusties, where we got all information in the heathen time in the form of theater, played in the form of animals as circus. On the old rusties they built one risti formed church. One rusty is equal legs, 4 equal legs, and one risti, one leg is longer. So we get one risti formed church, where we get now new information system, not anymore in the form of theater, but now all information is coming in written letter from the Pope in Rome, who is sending them out to the bishop, who is sending them out this letter, transferring them for the priest, who is reading them aloud every Sunday morning to these people who now have to come from their Saal, Hall and Kammeren, from their Saal, Hall and Chamber, to listen to what Pope in Rome is saying. Black letters on white paper. In that way we get one whole new system which is running up in Europe. Yeah, the Roman Empire was already taken half of Europe. Julius Caesar was up into England, and it goes further down the Rhine and the Danube over east and south. From there is all Roman Empire, which becomes straight away taken by Church after the year 400. It spreads quite quickly. Now, before we had one business system going from China and from China and from Hindustan up to the north. The year 400, Bogland become Goatland. The Danish Viking, descendant of Polet and Lingaet people, are taking over this island belonging to this Bog family, from where all business was conducted before with Asia. We had from China we had one Silk Route, and we had from Southeast Asia all kinds of spices, and also in the south we get all kinds of silk that goes up to this place 200 kilometers east from here, called Vijayanagar. And from there all trade went up with elephants to the forts in Jaipur, Agra and Delhi, from where it went by caravan to the Black Sea. And from the Black Sea all goods were transported by Laksurmboter, which are light boats you can carry over rapids. Everything was transferred over the river system of Dnieper and Volga up to Daluga, one big lake, Daluga, and from Daluga it go over to Vaneo, and from Vaneo you come to Banenasvik, and from Banenasvik you go over to Banenashav, and there you come to Goatland. And from Goatland all stuff was spread out over to Europe. 400 the Danish Viking take over this business, and they start now to do the thing the other way around. From Hedeby they start to make ready-made articles and send them down the other way. So they start to make one business direction Byzance, the Viking people. Viking. In this happening, this Bok lose this business contact with the East. Now, when the Roman Catholic Church is taking over the power of all the business in Europe, the Viking starts to get very afraid for this happening. So instead of letting the church come up northwards, they decide to go southwards. So the year 789 we get the first attack of the Vikings on England. Because England is very closely related to this heathen system that have been spreading from the west of Europe, the northwest of Europe, and they went over to see their brothers there and burn little bit churches and kill and rape left and right and scare all these people who was going every Sunday morning to listen to information of the Pope. They steal a little bit gold and silver from these churches and remove all this thing back to the place they come from. A little bit later on, we come to the year 845. We have one Swedish Jarl called Ragnar Lodbrok, who is marrying one woman, or going together with one woman, Aslög. And Aslög is one Finnish girl. And this Ragnar Lodbrok, he is going 845, he is going down with 200 dragon ships. He is going down to the south, to France, and he sails up the Seine and he comes to Paris. And he ransacks Paris, he burns all churches, and he disappears with 6,000 pounds of silver and gold from Paris. And he returns with his loot to Denmark, and when he arrived there with this enormous amount of gold and silver, the Danish Vikings straight away declare him to become king of Denmark, the Swedish Jarl, Ragnar Lodbrok. Ragnar Lodbrok with Aslög, he get 4 sons that we know of. One is called Björn Jernside, one is called Ivar Beenleus, one is called Ivar Wietserk, and one is called Sigurd Ormhögen. This first son, this one son, Björn Jernside, he became very famous. He wants to go in the footsteps of his father. So 10 years later on, 855, he is going down with one Viking boat expedition of 62 ships, also down to Paris. Now it's 10 years later on, and these people have just been rebuilding the churches over there. So he comes there and whack, everything goes down again. He collects all gold and silver from there, but he wasn't really happy with his result. So he sails back over this Seine river, and he goes south, and he lands in Spain, or what we today can call Portugal, I think. He lands over there and he robs a little bit church here and there, and then he goes down direction Gibraltar, but before he comes there he sails up the Guadalquivir river, where he goes inland in Spain, and every church you see he empties from gold and silver. After it he sailed down to Gibraltar, where he goes to the other side, to the North African side, where he collects what they call blue men, probably Tuareg people, and use them as slave on his boat. And after he go up in the Mediterranean, leaves North Africa and goes over to the Balear, where he empties all churches on these islands. After go over to Barcelona, where he empties all churches, and then he goes over to France, where we find him in Narbonne, where he emptied the churches, and after sail up to the Rhone, where every town he is passing, he's emptying the churches. He's a boring guy, this one. He's repeating all the time the same thing. Yeah? Anyway, he is going back from there to this French coast, and he decides that he wants to go and have a look in Italy. So he goes to Pisa. In Pisa he emptied the churches. And then he sails down and he comes to one nice white town, beautiful marmor town, and he thinks, now this must be Rome. When he enters this town, he finds out it's not Rome. So he gets so angry that he destroys the whole town and take all gold and silver. This town is called Luna. Then he has so much gold and silver that he hardly can't move anymore, this guy, with his 62 ships. So he decides he has to do something about it, because if he wants to sail back through Gibraltar to the north, he knows that in the Strait of Gibraltar people is going to be waiting for him, because he has been attacked left and right, yeah? So of course there is going to be some Arab fleet blocking the entrance to Gibraltar. So to get out of that situation, he sails to Alexandria, to Egypt, where he melts down all these gold and silver objects from these churches, and he sent it up with Laxurmbota, this boat you can carry over the rapids. He sends it up to Black Sea and through this river system of Dnieper and Volga up to Daluga, and from Daluga over Vano, and from Vano to Vanenasvik, Vanenashav down to Gotland. He is going back the other way with empty ship, and now he comes rowing on to Gibraltar, sailing on there, and for sure there they are waiting for him. So he has to make what we call one gardlop. He has to make like one spear point, yeah, and make full speed and go straight through the barrier. Now he succeeds and he comes through with less than half of his ship. He comes through alive, and he's a little bit in funny feeling about this happening, so he decides that when he is through he goes back to Spain, the west coast, and there he takes prisoner the king of Asturia. The king of Asturia, or one prince of Asturia, I'm not really sure. He keeps this guy for one ransom, for one enormous ransom, and after he goes up to Pamplona, where still today they keep this running happening through the streets of Pamplona in the north of Spain, where he empties the churches, and after he is fed up of his trip, he decides to go back home. He arrives back, he comes to Gotland the year 862, and when he arrives there, his gold and silver has been arriving through this Russian water system, and he has so much gold and silver that he becomes straight away king of Sweden. In the same time, 862, in Sweden we still have these Lingaet people coming from Sven, who have been keeping one line, which we call Unlingaet. When this Björn Järnside become king in Sweden, the person from the Lingaet family who was ruling in Sweden, one of them become removed to the east side. Because on the east side, in Rusland, these people have been getting into problems through this mixture of this 50 million year old black waner eating into this new white waner coming out after the Ice Age. In all this thousands of years happening, from him come one line of people who is ruling like Rusland over these different jarldömer in border in Rusland. On the west side, the other brothers from Björn Järnside, that is these brothers, Ivar Lietserk, Ivar Beetles and Sigurd Wormöge, they all become big heroes. One become king in England, one become king of Ireland. Björn Järnside is king of Sweden, his father is king of Denmark, and this Rurik from Lingaet has been transferred to Gorderiga Rusland. So you can imagine that this whole heathen system is already quite small, because Viking has been taking over all power after 400. So this original Ashel system is going on only in Odenmark, Finland, across the border of Karelia, down to Novgorod. In Novgorod we have already this first Jarldomen, where this Rurik becomes one ruler. In the year 987, we have been coming to that situation that the church has been splitting up in two pieces. We get the Roman Catholic, whose center is Rome, and we have Greek Orthodox in Constantinople, this Istanbul, Byzance from before. So we have the emperor in Constantinople who is representing this Greek Orthodox thing, and we have the Pope in Rome who is representing his thing. And in the year 987 we have one ruler in Kiev called Vladimir. And this Vladimir, he becomes, when he goes over to Greek Orthodox side, he becomes promised the sister of the emperor of Constantinople. She is called Anna. Anna and Vladimir marry 987, and in the same time whole Gorderigo Rusland become Greek Orthodox. He gets one son, they get one son, and this son is called Yaroslav. Yaroslav. Or Jarl, Rus, Slav. It's one constructed name based on this old heathen system, and he becomes Jaroslav den Wiese later on. Jaroslav den Wiese, he is marrying one woman, one king daughter from Ynglingaed, from Sweden. So we will move a little bit back to Ynglingaed in Sweden. Around the year 1000 in Sweden, in Uppsala, is one king called Olof Skötkonung. And Olof Skötkonung, he has one Jarl daughter as wife called Jarl daughter Edla. And with her he gets two children. One boy called Emund and one daughter called Astrid. But to get one king line from him, he is later on marrying one king daughter from Poland. He is marrying one king daughter from Poland called Estrid, who is one Ubutritisk king daughter. In the year 1000, Olof Skötkonung is moving his capital from Uppsala to Sigtuna. Now we have Tuna staan in Oedenma, and he is making one new town, the year 1000, called Sigtuna. Sieg means like you, what means seek? You seek, you tell. Yeah, you tell. Yeah. He makes this Sigtuna his new capital, and he becomes crowned in the year 1007. He becomes crowned. No, the year 1008 he becomes crowned. Sorry, the year 1008 he becomes crowned by one bishop called Siegfried in Sigtuna. After, to get one king line from him, he is marrying this Danish Ubutritisk king daughter, and with her he gets two children. He gets one boy called Anund and one daughter called Ingegerd. The year 1008, the year 1007, Anund has been born, and the year 1008 he becomes crowned by the priest, by the bishop Siegfried in Sigtuna, which makes that in the same time all this part of Scandinavia goes over to Roman Catholicism. Yeah. This Ingegerd and Vladimir, this on the Russian side, they are marrying together. 1019, and they get 5 sons and 4 daughters. The first daughter is called Elisavieta. Eli means life, Sav means like magla, this thing you get from the tree, and Yet means one goat, and A means aser. Elisavieta is one constructed name, Elisaviet. She became Queen of Norway. She married with one king called Harald Hårdraade in Norway, and she became king in Norway. Another daughter is Anna, she became queen in France. And another daughter, the third daughter is called Anastasia, she becomes queen in Hungary. And they are all moving, these people from Umlingaed to these different king houses around Europe. King Anund, the son of Olof Sjötkung, he became Meetkung. He became like with the king, and he take over sometime in the 1030s when his father died. He take over the crown, and then we are coming to one happening on the 24th of 7050. We come to what we call the third Ragnarök. The 24th of 7050, Anund, King Anund, is coming over with the bishop from Sweden and the Helvetia army. Helvetia is Switzerland today. They took one army from Switzerland, because in Switzerland these people were what we call legosoldaten. They were like mercenaries. There was one army for rent, and still today we find these legosoldaten, or we find people who is still working in the Vatican also today. And they took these legosoldaten so that in Sweden, if they would have taken the army from there, under the people would have been living the stories of what was going on in this third Ragnarök. 24th of 7050, he landed in Jetnes, today called Hangehoed, which is the southwest point of Oudenma on the Vestland. 24/7050, and they make one ring around Oudenma, these people, because now Finland was actually the only heathen country left from this paradise time in one original system. So 24/7050 they come over, this Helvetia soldaten with his bishop and King Anund, make one circle around Oudenma, and they kill all the Aser living in Oudenma. They cut all the oak trees that have been planted over there, and they remove all stone and statue and everything in the winter when there comes ice on the water to the middle of the Finnish Gulf between Helgi and Estonia. And in the spring, when the ice melts, whole hell falls to the bottom of the water. 24/7050. The third Ragnarök, the third destruction of Aser. Bok and Ra, they survived this happening. Ra went up to the north to one place called Karl-Jarlebori, Kajani today, and Bok he moved to Korvatuntur. Korva means ear and Tunturi means mountain. So he goes from Lusnarberget, from Listening Mountain, to Ear Mountain, which is one mountain on the border of Lapland and Russia. He break this original fertility system straight away. Lemminkainen is falling out. The small Bok is falling out, but anyway they continue up there in their system up to the year 1250, when they get the permission to move down. Now Oudenma had become one Ödemark, one desert, because everything had been destroyed and all people who could escape, they left to the north or swam out to the islands. And those that swam out to the islands were collected in the year 1066 by the Swedish Viking people, who used them as rowers in their boats going over to make this Battle of Hastings in England, where these Vikings make the last stand against this church happening, coming over with William the Conqueror to England, 1066. 1250, Bok, he is moving back to Oudenma. He is moving to Boks Bu, in Boksgård. And in front of Boks Bu is Boks beacon, boxfjord and boxstrum, or water systems in front of the mainland, all areas what you can still find today. There he moved to Box, but Ra, his first son, he is moving back to Wienö, which now get one new name called Strömsö. There, on Strömsö, Ra stays to create some kind of confusion, because now this family is splitting up in two. Yeah, the year 1250, Bok is staying in Box, and he get the name Bokström, and he is living in one house, which consists of one zaal and two kammaren. And he lived there with his swan as Tom de Vaar and Tom de Moer. Ra is moving to Wienö, and he lives there under the name of Raström, where now they split up this saga between the two of them. So if one of this family become killed in the future, this story is contori again, is one called Gustav Vasa. Vasa, when you turn it around, you get Aser and Sav, meaning Magla. So it's one constructed name, which means that he have knowledge about this thing. And Gustav Vasa, in 1550, 500 years after the third Ragnarök, is celebrating this happening that now Finland has become part of Sweden in 500 years' time by constructing one new town on the old Hell, calling it Helsinki, where you sing for the key to hell. 700 years later on, to celebrate this happening, on these 7 islands in front of Hell, on the 16th of 7, 16 is also 7, they built on the 7 islands in front of Hell one castle called Sveaborg, the castle of Sweden. Finland remained part of Sweden till 1809, when it became part of Russia. Finland became part of Russia 1809, and after that we get one other happening, that there is all these kings, these tsars in Russia. Yeah, we have Ivan the first, Ivan the second, Ivan the third, and now we get also Nikolaus. We get Nikolaus the first from Niklas. Yeah, Niklas, he is the neck coming from Neklas, and Neklas is same like Per. Yeah, and necklace, yeah, you can have one necklace around your neck, yeah, and in your necklace you keep all kind of symbols which remind you of all kind of stories. This Nicolaus was, which one was it? The first? First. Nicolaus the first, Nicolaus the first, he wanted to be like the Pope in Rome. He wanted to be head over the Greek Orthodox Church, because this emperor in Constantinople, this system had been dying out when the Muslim take over Constantinople. So now he wanted to have one symbolic key from Jerusalem, this Nicolaus I, and remove it from Jerusalem to Moscow, to Petersburg, sorry, which would give him the right to be the head of the Greek Orthodox Church. But the Turkish people didn't really agree with this happening, so there became one enormous war starting 1853, which we call the Crimean War. In this Crimean War, 1855, the English and French fleet, they destroy this castle on the 7 islands. They destroy Sveaborg by putting 1 million kilo of bomb on the center point of the earth. But most of the place is actually still standing there today. 1809 to 1917, 6th of December, on St. Nicholas Day, Finland became independent from this time that they was under the Russian. Also, in the 19th century, became born in box one twin. 1816, the 3rd of March, exactly 170 years ago today, in Box was born one twin. And the first boy that came out, he got the name Carl Gustav Bock. And he married with the daughter of this Raström family, who was called Gustava Wilhelmina. Wil means I want, hell is hell, and Mina is my people. So I want to bring my people to hell. He is Solbilten, the sun boy, and she is Moon Daughter, the daughter of the moon, because she is from Raström and he is from Bokström. And Solbilten and Moon Daughter go together. 1841. He didn't get any child with her. He married 3 times, this Carl Gustav. With his 3rd woman, Eva Joseva Sjölund, he get in one Asernas year, 1857, one daughter, Visturia Christina, 24 of July. After that became born one boy, Knut Wiestur, 1860. He is born, and he takes one wife to him 27 years later on, 1887, called Hilma Matilda Cooley. He is marrying with her, and they get 3 children. They get first Raquel, born 1888, after Raphael, born 1896, and after Rhea, 1899. Raphael, the Shiva, he couldn't continue this story because he died in one happening the 1st of February 1918 in the civil war in Finland. He was killed by the Reds. And so the story went over from Knut Wiestur and Visturia Christina to these 2 girls, Rara Raquel and Rara Rhea. Rara Raquel, she gets the moon stories, and Rara Rhea, she gets the sun stories. And this story was transferred, and we have been listening to them today. I think this is quite much as we for now. Boom Shankar. Nice work. Yeah. Do you have time for one story? It's one. Now, if you have now,
For me, like is going very soon.
it's very soon.
Take it one other time.
Maybe we
separate.
Yeah, maybe better.
We can make it with him separate.
It is
only one story.
no, it's a 10-minute story. I don't know.
Maybe you just tell it to the people, and then if we have to do it the second time, you know.
My light is running out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it.
No, I can tell it. I mean, he can put it in between because he has quite a lot of this film.
We can see it another day. Another day. But if you can tell it today,
I can tell it to you if you want.
They also.
It's a 10-minute story.
don't put it in there.
Oh, well, you can get
Oh, yeah.
it's on, but
Okay.
we do the
This is
audio.
quite nice.
You can
story
cut it
also.
in, you know, somewhere else. It's left.
It is actually one quite important story. And I have been leaving it out because we have a little bit time limit. But anyway, I want to throw it. The heathen people, they believed that the soul is in the sperm. This book was creating Menskior, Fulgior, Valkyrior. This is the story I mentioned 2 times I would talk about, but I haven't done it. Well, Menskior means people, coming from people. P is one ring, and this is this pole, and from people are coming the people. These heathen people believe that the soul, the fulgia, is in the sperm. And Bok, he was the first one to have sperm on this planet, Frey. And from his sperm was divided all these ets of people. So Ruset is like half of his sperm. And there is dividing already one time. Yarlet, it's again divided. Karlet, it's again divided. And Trailet, it's again divided. That is why the trail men were not allowed to make children. Because this fulgia, this soul, was divided so many times that it would become out soulless people. Before, in the heathen time, we didn't die. Up to the year 1050 in Finland, we didn't die. We had one completely different death. When you was old, one old person, and you couldn't walk anymore, you took one stick to yourself, and now you moved with your stick. But now it could come one day that you knew that in the next month or so, I won't be able to walk even with my stick anymore. On that day you send out message to your oak tree, to your sperm tree. Because in the heathen time, all stammother and stammfather, they planted oak trees, because from their system was coming out one new line of people. And all oak trees were planted in Udenma. So when you died, all oak trees were planted in Udenma, so we were all connected to oak trees in Udenma. When we felt that we became old people, we couldn't walk around anymore, we left like the animals. When an animal in the nature can't walk anymore, that day he died. And so it was also with human beings. When you knew that in the near future you won't be able to stand on your own feet with the help of one stick anymore, you spread out the message to your sperm tree, and all people come to visit you. And in this happening you make one fest, where you transfer all knowledge what you have not been passing on yet. You give it out to these people if you think they need it, and you give all those things that belong to you. You give to those people that had loved you during your life. After that, you went to what we call Ättestupa. Now you belong to the Et, the stam, the roots, and you go to Ättestupa. Stupa means you fall down. And Ättestupa is one nice rock in the nature, in the beautiful nature where you went to. And you went there bare. Because the heathen people believe that you are born bar and you also die bar. So there was very barbar people. These barbar people who came to see you off on your last day on this planet, they came and followed in one rad, in one line, behind this woman or man who was now departing from the life. She had a problem to walk, so two strong guys in the tribe, they make like what we call one goldstula with 4 arms, yeah, where this old person can sit on top, and now everybody is naked. All people is naked. And we die only in the summertime. Because before 1050 in hell, when it is 40° minus, you don't go to die in the winter time. You die only in the summertime. Yeah, when Uden is shining, you die. And all these people is following you in one line, and now you walk quietly through the nature to the foot of Ättestupa. There these two guys hold, and they turn you around, and in the same time all these people come to make one half ring around you. And they stand now at the foot of Ättestupa, and now these two guys carry you backwards to the top of Ättestupa. So you look in the eye of all the people when you go slowly backwards. Then they put you on top of Ättestupa and give you one stick. And now you have to be able to stand on your 2 feet with this stick. If you cannot stand on your feet, you are a shame for the whole oak tree. So you better choose the day right. Then these two guys walk slowly back and stand also in this group of people, and now everybody was standing there, and you say yes, and in that moment you lift up your stick. Everybody is looking to Uden. Nobody is looking to you when you let yourself fall backwards from Etterstupa, because dying was your private business. And you died on the way. You don't die when you fall on the earth. You die on the way. Then these two guys walk around Etterstupa and make one bar, one stretcher, where they put you on top, and with this stretcher they walk to one funeral pyre, one wood pyre, where they put this hot body on top. Now these heathen people believe that the soul is still inside in this body, and now they are burning this body. And they all stand around it in one circle, around this fire, and wait till this whole fire has burned down to ashes. Now the heathen people believe that the soul is in the ash. Then they collected they collected the ash, and now this ash was transferred to the root of your oak tree in Oedenmark. Before Ice Age, regardless whether you lived in Australia, South Africa, Polynesia, South America or wherever, the ash of all the people who died before Ice Age was transferred to the root of the oak tree, their oak tree in Oedenmark. In Finland up to the year 1050. After that, this ash, the soul, is going to the root of the oak tree. And then in the Mahla system of tree, the soul is going to the stem of the oak tree. And from the stem it's going to the head of the oak tree. And from the head it goes to the leaf of the oak tree. And then the soul leaves from the leaf to the hole. And the hole is one group, one hole in one stone, in one fundament on the exact North Pole before Ice Age and on the old North Pole after Ice Age. It's the fundament on Oeden's Ö. It's one fundament with one stone. And all souls travel from the leaf of the oak tree to the hole. And up to the year 1050, from the hole they went to hole E. And hole E is the prick of the book. Because he have the hole E. From which come out, in this election system, in this Waal system, come out Pirouet, Rousset, Jaarlet, Kaalet, Treelet. And in that way the souls go round. And this process is called Waal Q Rior. Waal means election, Q means one prick, Ri means again and again, and Oer is a combination of Oeden and Raas. Waal Q Rior. So you elect this prick, and out come out this new people. Up to the year 1050. According to the saga. Oh, not good. Oh, yes. That I haven't been taking on.